Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the school committee meeting of Wednesday, March 5th at 7 p.m. Again, I want to welcome everyone in the audience tonight, and again, appreciate all of you coming to our meeting and participating. With that, I'd like to start off the meeting with public participation. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the committee? If so, please come down to the table here and speak right into the mics.
Mike, what's the difference of this?
There's an option 2.
Oh, an option 2?
Yeah, toward the end there.
Hello. Good. Can you state your name for the people at home?
My name is Chris Holbrook.
Thank you.
I would like to, first of all, talk about school uniforms. Because word is out, it was discussed at school council yesterday at the high school. I don't feel that Wareham is the place for school uniforms. I don't feel that, personally me, as a parent who will have a senior in high school next year, should have to go out and buy my child a whole new wardrobe. Because let's face it, she's grown. I'm not buying her a whole new wardrobe every year anymore. So to buy school uniforms for 1 year is a little bit of a waste, in my opinion. Plus, a town that is 50% free or reduced lunch, low income, how are these parents going to buy uniforms? Is the school going to subsidize and buy the kids' uniforms? I'm just curious. Has that even been thought? Is it, because I've been told that the feedback about the school uniforms has been nothing but positive, but that's not what the parents are saying outside. So I'm curious.
Right, sure. So I just want to make a statement if the superintendent wants to weigh in after. So when the idea of school uniforms first came up, it was first discussed at the Superintendent's Advisory Council. So the Advisory Council that's been pulled together of parents and staff and together was the first place it was discussed. After that, there's been several different ways that the superintendent and the administration has been gathering feedback on that. Not only in the schools, but also online. There was an article on Wareham Week basically discussing it, and we continue to gather feedback and opinions on that subject. Has there been discussion about the financial implications? Absolutely. Has there been discussion about how that would be implemented? Absolutely. Has it been discussed with the administration? All of that is going on. No decision has been made. But we continue to gather information, and what I would encourage anybody who has an opinion on it, again, this is one forum, but also the superintendent has set up a feedback channel right on the website, too, to be able to provide, so not just one parent, but we've received a lot of feedback already, but I encourage folks to keep providing comments when it comes to that. But it has not been decided on yet.
When will it be decided, just out of curiosity?
It's being discussed in school councils. When all school councils have had an opportunity to vet the proposal, it will come back to the Superintendent's Advisory Committee, and then we'll make the decision on what we're going to do.
Okay.
So, to answer your question, though, because I didn't answer when, it would probably be sometime in April.
April, but we would know before it went before the school committee it would be on your
yes.
agenda? I mean,
Sure.
would notice go out to parents that, it's going to be, on this?
For the
school committee to vote, because you would have to vote it, right? Am I correct? You would have to approve
Yes.
it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think just like with any of the school committee agendas, so they go out the Friday
before.
The Friday before,
Posted
and
on
they're
the
available
website,
online.
yes.
Right.
Perfect.
All right.
My next discussion problem is the buses. Word is out that it is on the agenda tonight for the high school buses to be cut. And I know that you guys have budget issues. You have budget issues every year, and I know that this has been discussed years before. I just don't know how you can do this. I mean, this high school has dug themselves out of a hole. They are a level 1 school now. If you cut the buses, kids aren't going to go. Parents can't do it. And my kids don't take the bus. I drive my kids, so it doesn't affect me in any way whatsoever. I'm talking other parents. And I'm talking that these people at the high school that work there that have killed themselves to improve the school, it's just setting them back so far by doing this. So I'm asking, please don't do this. Please don't approve this. Please, please don't. And I'm pretty sure there's other parents out there tonight that agree but are too afraid to come up here and talk in front of
Well, you're
everybody.
setting a good example for them to not be afraid.
Come
anymore.
on, guys.
We're not evil.
But
Shouldn't be
it
afraid
would,
of
it
us.
is just not fair to the teachers, the staff at the high school to do this. They can't teach kids if they're not there.
I understand. So the agenda that was published on Friday it does have transportation, so it has proposals for reductions for FY13 budget, and transportation is on it. So you will have a discussion about that. There's no vote being taken tonight.
Thank
but
goodness.
But there will be a discussion on the proposed budget cuts, and it's more than just that. There's a presentation that's going to be made by the superintendent tonight, and that will then be open to discussion here.
But not to us, so that's why I wanted to put my 2 cents in
No,
before
no,
the
no,
meeting
that's what
started.
public participation is
So,
for.
because I kind of had the heads up, so I just wanted to put my 2 cents in and say, please don't do this. Please, find some other way to save the money. It's not going to help.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, can you state your name for the folks at home?
Hi, my name is Shannon Rose. My daughter's actually in kindergarten. My first comment is about the uniforms. Forgive me, little.
That's okay, take your time.
I don't understand why they're actually wanting to completely impose with it when there's been studies that have proven the fact that they don't actually increase academics or decrease bullying, which has been 2 concerns of reasons why they have proposed uniforms. I am against them. I think that they don't let children be individuals. I think that if they're going to enforce some sort of dress code, they should enforce the dress code that they currently have, which they do not enforce. I know my child is not in high school, but I do know that many kids, I do see kids in high school going to school with things that aren't part of the dress code, and they stay there all day. I'd also like to know that you had stated at one of the reconfiguration meetings that you were looking into the uniforms and the possibilities and the cheapest route, which would lead me to believe that you were actually looking into uniform companies to provide these uniforms. And I wanted to know if part of your reasoning on behind uniforms was because usually these uniform companies, which is also one of the cons against uniforms, is they provide a kickback to the school districts. And I was wondering if that was one of the reasons why you were looking into it.
Yes, absolutely.
No. What we were looking at would be, I know that Walmart has a uniform package for $49, an assortment. We are not looking at going with any one specific uniform company.
Okay. Now, if you do also go into these uniforms, because I know that part of the problem is bullying, and you had stated before on how different kids wear different clothes, and that's why part of it is bullying. How do you think that uniforms are going to prevent the bullying? Because you're still going to have the kids wearing the Jordan sneakers, the North Face jackets, the Uggs boots, that are all part of showing that, hey, my parents have money, your parents don't.
Part of the uniform would include the shoes, and there would be certain colors that you could wear with the shoes. Ugg boots would not be part of the package, nor would Jordan sneakers. I mean, they would be a black or a brown.
Okay. I just want to let you know, I'm absolutely against them. I think it just harbors who they are. I know my daughter's in kindergarten, and she likes the way she dresses. She loves to wear her dresses. She loves to wear skirts. She does not like to wear pants. Mm-hmm. She does not like to wear plain colored clothes. As she likes her colors. I just can't even believe for a public school to just harbor, I just think it's ridiculous. I don't like the idea of it one bit, and I just wanted to state that. And my other thing is towards the buses. Once again, My daughter's in kindergarten. Buses really isn't going to affect her. However, I think it affects the community as a whole. If you have children in high school who need to find other ways to get to school, this is going to affect them academically. It's going, if their parents work, how are they supposed to get there? Are they supposed to try to find other ways to get there? It's not really saying, hey, you're doing a really good job as a high school, you've improved your grades, you're doing this, you're doing that, and then we're basically taking our high school kids and instead of rewarding them for doing good, we're basically telling them, okay, well, now you're doing good, but now you have to make sure that your parents can get you here. And I think it would extremely affect them academically.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Missy Dekas. I'm here to speak of the bus decision. I guess my concern is more as a taxpayer because I'm almost to the point, and actually the bus doesn't affect me because we live in such close proximity to the schools that I've had to drive both of my children. I'm fortunate that it works into our schedule and that we have that luxury. My concern now is how much more can we take from this school district? And for those of you in the audience who know me, I've had one daughter graduate from high school 4 years ago. She's successfully completing college. I have a son who is a sophomore. He's the treasurer of his class. He's on the school council, student council. He's the president of National Honor Society, Junior National Honor Society. People who know me know that I am a proponent of this public school. I can't say enough. I convince people that this is not as bad as the papers make it out to be and as the hearsay makes it out to be. But you're leaving me with nothing. I'm losing my rebuttal. I have nothing to say to these people now. It almost embarrasses me that I have fought this fight for however many years I've been involved, and now I don't know what to say to them because really, they're right. It scares me as a member of this community that you're going to take away buses from kids who are at risk. These kids don't get to school on their own. They are dependent on that bus. We have parents that can't. We are not a community, we are not an affluent community. We are not afforded the luxury of mothers who stay home and play bridge on Tuesday, tennis on Wednesday, and decide to have their hair done on Thursday. We are a single-family, low-income community. We have two-parent working blue-collar worker employees who both have to work. I have friends who are teachers and insurance agents, and they need to be to work at a certain time and can't drive their high school students. I don't know if any of you have insured a teenager lately. It's about $3,000 to insure a teenager on your policy. It's not cheap. They can't afford this. And my fear as a taxpayer is that these kids that we're trying to educate and make the selectmen and the school committee members are not getting the foundation because we're robbing them of this. And my fear is that these are the kids that are going to want to live here. I don't know if any of you have noticed, but nobody wants to move into town. Nobody wants to put their kid in our school if they have a choice to go somewhere else. So now, it's scary as a parent, but it's more scary as a homeowner. What are we doing to our family nucleus and our town? We're not making better citizens. I really think that we need to rethink the bus thing. It scares me to death that we're going to have a high dropout rate. It scares me to death that our MCAS scores are going to tank. Because I don't care, you have a kid who out of 180 days can't make it 10% of the time, that's a lot of material to cover. And my fear is that there are going to be repercussions to this other than just financial. So I would ask you to please reconsider based on a lot of different situations, and not just that kids are going to get there, they'll find their way. They're not going to get there. You've taken our resource officer, so now there's another set of eyes and ears that are going to grab these at-risk kids. You're going to have a lot of kids on the streets, and I hate to tell you, I have a husband who works in law enforcement, but those kids are not going to be up to good things. They're not going to be volunteering at the food pantry. They're going to be breaking into all of your houses when you're working because they have nothing else to do. So that is my take on the whole thing. I would just really ask you to reconsider it. I know times are tough, but I really think that sometimes we need to look at the bigger picture.
And
Thank you.
I absolutely thank you for coming up here tonight and expressing your opinions and your thoughts and your concerns about this. What's on the agenda tonight is a discussion on it. Again, not a debate, and I mean a debate and a discussion, not a vote. And all of those, I think that many of the arguments that we've heard so far tonight are the same arguments, if anybody's watched our school committee meetings from last year, because we talk about transportation every single year. It's the exact same thing that the members up here are saying when it comes to talking about busing and where the cuts need to happen. There's no reason to rebuttal and say that anything about the budget, because we all understand the budget, that the crisis that we're in right now, and that's the reason why there needs to be thoughtful debate and discussion here when it comes to every single cut. Transportation is one, but there are multiple cuts on there, and that's the reason why we have to debate each one and make sure that we're providing the safest, the quality education here for our students. So again, all of the comments and the feedback that we received, not only is it being heard tonight, but many of those comments have also happened at this table also, in debating it.
When will this decision be made, and by whom? Is that something that you, as the school committee, advocates for our children? I feel like the children are being robbed. I feel like we entrust their education to all of you on the stage, but yet I'm not really sure that some of these decisions have their best interests at heart. We're not, sadly, our community is a lot like a city in that we have high crime and we have low income and we have low income housing, and but we're a large square mile community. Kids can't walk. This is not Lawrence where kids can walk down the street to their high school. There are a lot of miles to cover in this town. And I just really think that you'll regret it. My other question is, I'm a little confused as to why you have citizens' participation before your meeting, now. I caught wind of this prior, so I knew that I was going to come and address you. I guess my question is, if you had brought this up an hour from now, would I have the chance to come up here and address you based on that conversation?
Sure. The course of the meetings, the Board of Selectmen, the FinCom, so all of the public meetings that go on in town today, there is a format that is followed, which is public participation. So publish the agenda, publish in our case, we also publish all of as many documents as we can that's open to the public beforehand, so then citizens are able to be informed prior to.
So this was published as
right
one of the
agenda items, exactly.
Okay.
So it gives the community an opportunity to read the information up front and then to be able to come and address the committee. When it comes to the actual discussion and the debate, that's the reason why it happens up in the beginning, that then it's up to the school committee to then discuss and debate that, and then there are opportunities at the next meeting. There is discussion, and I think Mike Flaherty has brought it up, and there has been discussion here about taking certain agenda items and having a second public participation after that. That has not been published on this agenda today, and something that, again, we can discuss. But the most important thing is that we are making sure that we get through the business of the school committee, because if we put public participation after every single agenda item, it would be very difficult to do that. And that's also the reason why we encourage as many, for these types of items, the opportunity, so we do public forums, so people have an opportunity to speak about certain items. So we did that about the reconfiguration of the elementary schools. And so, you know, it's something that we can discuss here around some of these budget cuts if we also do another public forum there, because that's more of a better way to engage everyone in the audience on a specific topic.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I think this would be a good time. I think this would be a good time for the superintendent to talk about the meeting, public meeting she's having starting Friday.
The joint meeting with you
the
and
joint
the
meeting with the
town
town administrator.
Yeah, I wasn't real sure. Yes, we're going to be visiting different locations in the town, listening to comments and thoughts that folks have in the community about the budget, both on the town side and on the school side. Our first meeting will be 11 o'clock at the Firehouse Cafe in Onset. I would certainly invite anyone to come that would like to share information with us, and we will publish our various points will be at the next several weeks, and we encourage people to come and share their views.
And just to follow up on that, I think, within the announcement, there was also a request that, because we know 11 o'clock on a Friday, sure, I work too, so, right, so 11 o'clock on a Friday is difficult, but in there, this is the first request that has been given, and that was the time and availability. So if there is a location, if there is a time, we want to be able to do nighttime meetings. So make that request, and for a location, find the location that's big enough that more of those can happen with the town administrator and the superintendent, but we need for that request to come in, a location and a time, because we don't have, you know, all the different places, locations for the different places. Yes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, thank you for saying what you had said, and I was going to ask for, you know, some feedback from the public after we discussed the transportation issue, but we're not taking a vote tonight. I think it's fine if we don't, because people can get informed and, you know, stew on it and then come back when we do vote on it and speak then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Jamie Pelletier. I am a parent of a Wareham student, and I'm also a paraprofessional within the school. My first question for you is in regards to the school uniforms. I'm just wondering if you have taken into consideration that we have a population of students that would probably not fit into those clothes comfortably. We have students who have sensory issues. I see students every day who wear sweatpants every single day because they're not comfortable in clothes that are restricting. It's something that I think will need to be addressed and looked at. I also know myself, I have a son who doesn't really fit the standard sizes. He's a husky kid. I don't think that he's going to feel very comfortable wearing those type of clothes. He's a sweatpants kid, sweatpants and a Nike shirt. That's his standard uniform for the day. I am glad to hear that you want to do Oxfords or some sort of shoes like that, because I do think as far as bullying in this school system, sneakers are the main driving force. I know that I fight with my son every day about what sneakers he has. You know, he wants the $300 ones that the other kids have. That's not in my budget, unfortunately. I just think that mainly the special needs kids that may have sensory issues will probably have a tough time wearing, you know, a buttoned pair of khakis with maybe a belt. It would probably be very restricting for them. I really don't care either way about the myself. If we have uniforms, then that's what my son will wear to school. As far as the busing goes, I understand that there's a huge financial constraints on the schools, and we're looking for every way that we can save money without taking away from the educational process that we offer our students. I do agree with what the other people have said. You're going to have a tough time getting your kids here. I just had a conversation the other day at a PTA meeting that with Scott Palladino had made a statement that we're keeping more of our kids in Wareham. I think that's great. I love Wareham schools. I had an incredible experience here. I've always said Wareham Public Schools saved my life. I was one of those kids. I was a foster kid. I could have gone down that wrong road. but I came to Wareham, and the education and the people in that school saved me. With that said, if you take away these buses, you're going to have more kids going to other schools. They're going to go to Upper Cape because, you know what, there's a bus to take them to Upper Cape. You're going to have them go to school choice because they're going to say to themselves, if I have to drive my kid to Wareham, I'll drive them to Old Rochester. I feel like, I mean, I don't have a high school student. My daughter goes to Upper Cape. I'm not embarrassed to say that. I made a decision that I felt was best for my individual student. But I also know from being very active in the school that Wareham High School has done an incredible job to bring themselves up and to fill the educational gaps or whatever gaps were there. I don't know. Like I said, haven't had a high school student, so. And it would be a shame to see all that work go to waste with the buses, because I really honestly believe that you're going to find that you're going to have a large population of parents who are going to jump ship. They're going to go to Upper Cape simply because it's more convenient. Not because it's better, but more convenient. You're going to have parents who are going to go to the other schools of choice because, well, if I have to drive my kid to Wareham, I'm going to drive him down the street to the school that I feel is better. That's not my opinion, but it's a consensus that some of the schools around our neighboring are stronger or better. I don't want to see more Wareham people leave Wareham. I really hope that you, in your discussions, take that into consideration, that we don't want to give any parent more ammo to leave our schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Welcome.
How you doing?
Hi.
Mark Holbrook. I've got the agenda that was printed out for tonight's meeting, and some of these things that you may be talking about tonight may answer some of the questions that a lot of the parents already have, because they're kind of vague, talking about transportation and reconfiguration of the elementary school. But my question is, does the reconfiguration of the elementary school and its busing problems that you're going to have anything to do with the high school being cut?
No, it doesn't.
Nothing at all?
No.
So when we're going to talk about the reconfiguration of elementary, have you discussed how that's going to go?
Yes, we have.
If if you're going to pick up middle school kids, and the middle school is like right there, and how come the high school can't go on the same bus? I don't understand why you can only choose high school children, other than the fact that you can. I guess you have to provide transportation for a certain amount of grades. But where's the cost savings in that, where just high school kids aren't going to go when
Sure.
they're right here?
And I think that that is part of the presentation tonight, that when we're talking about the budget reductions, it's not only the recommendation and what is the recommendation to be reduced, but also the dollar savings along with that. So that's part of the presentation this evening.
The dollar saving. And it's a considerable amount of savings that
I would just
they
say that
expect?
we're all looking, I mean,
Do
yes,
you
we
have
got it
the
up front,
amount?
but we're looking forward to the presentation, because besides just the number, then there's the narrative all around it. So again, that's why tonight is the first night that we're discussing it in the reductions in public forum.
So when you were discussing the busing situation that's going to come with the reconfiguration, do you have two separate plans? If the high school thing doesn't go through, say we're going to keep the school, so do you have one that's going to include the busing for if we continue to bus the high school children, and one if we don't?
I think that there are several different scenarios that go on when it comes to the cuts. We are still working with the town to come up with what that final number is. So right now, we're working off of potential or perceived cuts that we're expecting to happen, but we don't have the final number from the town administrator on what the final number is of cuts that we would have to make. So what well, not us, but the superintendent and the business managers, along with the administrators at each one of the schools, and the administrators at the schools then work with school councils, is constantly talking about different things that we can do if cuts do come down. So there are several, I wouldn't say that there are just two, there are several different scenarios based on the numbers, but what you'll hear tonight is, with the information that we have today, what the first pass recommendations are from the superintendent and the administration.
Okay. I guess I'll end on that I hear all the discussions on how we want to keep class size down. We want to keep as many teachers as possible. We want to get these kids a great education, but it's really not going to make a difference if they can't get there. So don't cut the buses, that's all I can say.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Is it appropriate at this time to ask, it's probably in the form of a motion, to take agenda item number 7, the proposal for reduction in the budget in transportation, and move that up right after good news, because based on the concern of the parents here, I think that we should have that discussion while most of them are still here, and it'll follow after the presentations that you have. So if, in the form of a motion, I'd like to make a motion that we move agenda item number 7 to the agenda item number 3 spot.
Second.
Okay. Second for discussion. Is second for discussion or just,
Second.
okay. All those in favor?
Well, you can discuss it anyways.
Okay. Let me just ask, is there, so here, any time sensitivity around the folks that are in the audience? Yep, we'll get the kids up. Okay. I just wanted to confirm that there wasn't anyone that is on the agenda that will be presenting that has any kind of time sensitivity. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? Right, so we will move that up. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the committee?
Yeah, right there.
Oh, hi. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Rhonda. Good evening. My name is Brian Fitzgerald. I'm a 5th grade English Social Studies intervention teacher. I'm president of the Wareham Education Association. And I remember when nobody would say anything during public comment. Remember those days?
I attribute it all to my chairmanship. I pay them, right? I'm paying you guys to come here.
I'm not going to talk about the buses or the uniforms. It's funny. You don't realize you missed something till it's gone. I've been coming to a few to these school committee meetings, and I remember the budget vote would come up, and there would be some discussion about how this is a revenue-based, not a needs-based budget. It's the budget, not the budget we want. It's the budget that we need to vote through, and it would be voted through. A recent school committee meeting, a budget to eliminate 16 positions was voted through, and I was surprised not to hear any of those comments. Last school committee meeting, the announcement was made that 7 positions were being cut in the middle of the year. 3 food service positions, 4 paraprofessional positions, right in the middle of the school year, right approaching the standardized testing season. I do thank the superintendent for her comments to the media about that, but I was surprised in both those instances not to hear some of what I had hoped to hear. So given that this is a school committee meeting, I did want to take the opportunity to say that those 3 people who are making sure that students had enough to eat in school, their service was appreciated. And it's really a shame that they lost their position in the middle of the year, and that this community appreciates their service to the kids of Wareham. And by the same token, the 4 people who quite unexpectedly and abruptly received notice that their position was being terminated, that the work they did to help every single student access the curriculum, the work that they did to ensure that this is a fair and appropriate public education for all, was valued, and that they will be missed. So I appreciate the superintendent for saying words to that effect, and I wanted to add mine. I know that we have a very tough budget situation in front of us, and I hope no matter what happens that we don't forget looking at all these numbers, that we're also talking about the people who are performing the job and the kids that they're really there to perform the job for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before moving on to good news, the flippant comment about, the chairmanship, I attribute the increase in public participation to, absolutely to the information that is now being shared, the information that is out there on our website, but most importantly to the parents that are, have been involved in their parents' education, but also now are getting involved in the policies that the school committee is responsible for, as well as the budget. I just want to say that I applaud that and do not ever feel like that it's not appreciated here at this meeting, that we do appreciate the parents that come here, that take the time to be part of this process, and especially to lend their voice to that process. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. Anyone else that would like to address the committee? Okay. Thank you again. I'll move on to good news.
We have our good news video. And while we're getting that ready, I would like to promote the kindergarten registration. We have March 6th and March 7th. March 6th will be from 4 to 7, and March 7th will be from 11 to 11:30 and 12:30 to 2. It will be held in the Multi-Service Center, room 218. So if there are any folks out there that have kindergarten students to register, please come at that time and register your student.
Thank you.
This year, we've collected $420. We're still going because we missed part of February, and we're going to go until March. My name is Stephen Almond. An interesting fact about me is I can bring resources.
Before moving on to good news, some of you saw at the beginning of that video that the Board of Selectmen presented a proclamation to Tariq Johnson. I'd like to just read that here tonight. Proclamation. Whereas Tariq Johnson is a 15-year-old resident of the town of Wareham. Whereas Tariq has faced significant health challenges in his life with bravery and a smile. Whereas Tariq's 16th birthday is March 18th, 2014. And whereas the Board of Selectmen wish to honor Tariq by declaring March 18th, 2014 to be Tariq Johnson Day in the town of Wareham. In witness, therefore, we, the town of Wareham Board of Selectmen, hereby proclaim March 18th, 2014 to be Tariq Johnson Day in the town of Wareham. And further, in that regard, have hereunto set our hands and caused the official seal of the town of Wareham to be affixed this 28th day of February 2014. I'd like to ask for a round of applause for Tariq, please. Thank you. Is there good news?
I do. I would like to invite Mr. Palladino to come down and introduce Amber and share some great news about her accomplishment.
I'm going to make her come up here and sit next to me so I can embarrass her. But we're very, excuse me, we're very fortunate at Wareham High School. We've got some tremendous ambassadors, tremendous student athletes, and Amber Filkins certainly exemplifies the student athlete at Wareham High School. Amber's involved in after-school sports, field hockey, and obviously she's here because of basketball and scoring her 1,000th point, most recently at the Bourne game at the end of the season. But she's also involved in DECA, several clubs and activities, and she holds down a part-time job as well. And she's worked really hard in school and in her life to make herself a better person. She's been accepted into several colleges, and I believe it's down to Catholic University pretty much, right? So, and she'll be playing basketball down there, and she'll continue her education, and she'll do quite well for herself. But I certainly want to go back to that Bourne game, and I'm not sure if I think Dr. Sylvia was there, and I'm sure a few people in the audience were there as well. But basically, I think she needed 12 points to reach 1,000, which obviously is a very lofty achievement for anyone, let alone here in Wareham, where you know, sometimes we don't play the 22 games that other teams play. So a little handicap there to begin with. So she needs the 12 points, and she's kind of forcing it all game long. And long story short, it comes down, I believe it was about 8 seconds left, and she gets fouled, and we're down by 2. With 8 seconds left, she has 2 shots from the foul line. And talk about a pressure, and I'm just saying, I'm glad I'm not in that position at my age. Not that I would make those shots anyway, but if I was capable, a lot of pressure. And she was there stone-faced and put both those shots in to tie the game, then went back and played some tremendous defense, put it in overtime, and we ended up winning. And mind you, I probably should have prefaced this, but Bourne was the #1 team in the conference at that point in time. So it just goes to show you the character and obviously capabilities of this young lady. So I know we're here to recognize her for her 1,000th point for the basketball team, and so certainly I want to turn it over to her for a few comments about her experiences, and I want to certainly formally congratulate you, so congratulations.
So it's been a great 4 years. Going in this year, we had like very high expectations for the season for ourselves. First off, we wanted to make the state tournament and stuff. Secondly, we wanted to like win the conference, but that didn't really happen. So, but overall, we had a great season. I couldn't have done it without my teammates, all my coaches, all my family and stuff, so it's been fun.
Thank you very much. I want to open up to the committee. Yep.
Amber, 1,000 points, that's a great accomplishment, but to me what's greater about Amber is her volunteering, whether it's summer basketball or the junior basketball. Amber, Brianna, Emily, every Saturday, they've been in the gym, whether it's 9 in the morning to 5 at night or whatever time, and they all have busy schedules, and they came every week to give back to the junior basketball program. And they did it on the hot days in the summer, sitting out there in 85-degree weather and not getting paid, but just doing it because that's what they love. And that's what it's all about, and I want to thank you for that. And I hope the boys program takes notice of it, that this year, through basketball, we've seen nothing but girls all year, and you guys deserve a great round of applause for the support that you do in the community, too. Thank you.
The only thing I would add, I haven't had the opportunity of getting to know Amber as much as I would have liked to, but I think Amber is a wonderful example of how a student through athletics can become that much of a better person, and is a fantastic ambassador for not only her school but her town. So thank you.
Wants to play tennis.
I just want to congratulate you because I see you in school and I know exactly how hard you work. It's incredible. So congratulations because you deserve everything you get.
Thanks. Thank you.
Amber, 1,000 is a big number. The only thing I ever got 1,000, it was 1,000 minutes on the bench. So that really is an accomplishment, but I know you from another vein. I know how committed you are to your academics. And so, you know, that's a twofold accolade that I have to give you. In fact, of being, you know, given new meaning to the term student-athlete. And I wish you all the luck. And I know that, and the other thing I want to say is that you really do bring pride back to Wareham, and you bring that old Viking spirit right back to life. So I really appreciate everything you did. And I really do appreciate everything that our basketball teams, the girls' team and the boys' team, and our hockey team just missed the tournament.
Yeah.
You know, brought back some winning ways. So we really appreciate that, too. So thank you, Amber, for representing us, our school, and your family the way you have.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I'm happy to have you here tonight. I'm happy to have good news like this all, you know, more often now that we do this now. Just hope that we can keep it up. I mean, who are there anyone else in the running for next year? Approaching it?
Not that I know of.
Wow.
Kia Fernandez is going to be really close, but I don't know like how far she is right now.
So it is really rare.
Yeah,
1,000
it is.
points.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I believe there are 60, she's the 16th, I believe. That's on, and 7th girl. And when you walk into the gymnasium for any type of game, if you look kind of to your immediate left, you'll see the list of all of the students that have attained 1,000 points.
Yeah, I did see that. That's why I know recently we had quite a few boys, but not so much with the girls, huh?
It's getting, if you look the last few years, I think it's evened off. It's getting close to being even the last few years. I mean, you've got to play pretty much 4 years, and you've got to play those 4 years. It's a difficult task. But we've got some young freshmen and sophomores that I think are up for that task, and you may see some more names going up there in the next few years.
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'll just end it with, I don't think I could say any more than what they've said here tonight, but I just want to talk about, if folks don't know, her part-time job is at the YMCA, so it's not only it's not only what she's accomplishing and working with her peers, but she's also paying it forward. So she is an amazing example at that YMCA, continuing to give back, being a mentor towards the next generation. And I think that there are many jobs out there, but she's chosen one, and I don't know if you meant to do this, but chosen one to basically give back and to continue being an example to the younger kids. So I just applaud for you for that also. My son's one of them. She does after the summer program, and Jackson loves her. So, all right. Thank you again for being here tonight.
Thank you.
And I'd like to invite Mrs. Miranda and Jarrett to come forward, and Mrs. Miranda to please share Jarrett's accomplishments.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I asked Jared to come here tonight to share his accomplishment. Jared entered West Wareham Academy 3 years ago. And he is a senior this year, will be graduating. He has met all the high school graduation requirements, and he has worked tremendously hard to do so. So I wanted him to be able to come here tonight and share his success and his good news with all of you.
Welcome.
Well, I guess I was told to tell my story. I guess. Well,
Can you hear?
A little closer.
A little closer.
A little bit.
Thank you.
I was a foster kid, and I still am. I came back here about 3 years ago. I lived in Falmouth originally, moved out here about 3 years ago, and I've just been trying to make something of myself. I came from nothing. I had nothing to my name whatsoever. I had 10 cents in my pocket and had to start all over again. I mean, I became a long way, and I mean, without West Wareham Academy, I don't think I'd be where I am today. They helped me out so much by just being there for me and became part of my family. They basically supported me through everything I've done, and they've been there for me and have done a lot for me. And I attended Bridgewater State University over the summertime and got my EMT license. I'm going to be a lifeguard at the YMCA over in Middleborough this summer, and I'm going to be going to do my paramedic program coming up September at Cape Cod Community College. So, I don't know.
So we just wanted to share that good news. Jared has hurdled over so many different challenges.
A lot.
He was working at Target.
40 hours a week.
He was going to school at West Wareham Academy, and also working towards his EMT licensure over at Bridgewater. And then he took his exam, and Jared did not pass the first time. He came back very discouraged, but he worked with the staff at West. He stayed after school. He put in the extra time. The staff from West really worked with Jared. And like 2 weeks ago, Jared came into my office, and I think he must have jumped
6 feet in the air.
off the ground saying, I did it, I passed. He persevered, he went back, he retook the test, and he passed the course. So, and he is now licensed EMT.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It goes full circle. West Academy saved you, and now you're going to be in a position to save a lot of people. That's a great accomplishment, and I wish you the best of luck going forward.
Thank you. I plan on later one day in my life when I settle down to take in foster kids too. I would definitely like to do that, and that's why I'm attending the lifeguard program to do at the summer camp this year. So later on in life, I definitely have my plan to do.
Great.
We talk a lot about the value of education, and it's true. We don't talk a lot about what you do with that education and how effort is the key. When you combine education and effort, you end up a successful, independent adult. I think you're on your way, and I congratulate you.
Thank you.
Jared, you give a wonderful account of the Wareham story. I've been in Wareham for 48 years, and I've seen some Jareds along the way. And it's the Wareham story. Wareham cares about their kids. Like you said, you came back. But I have to tell you, the biggest ingredient to your success is your inner strength.
That's very
and
true.
Congratulations to you for that, because that's going to serve you very, very well in life.
Thank you, sir.
It's tough to follow everyone else up here, especially Mr. Fonts and Dr. Sylvia. Pretty much covered it. But to build on what Dr. Sylvia said, what does motivate you? What made you so tenacious in what you wanted to do here?
When I was taken away from my family, they put a care and protection against them because they were abusive, and I literally had nothing. Everything was taken from me. I had $4,000 in the bank. My mother stole it from me. You know, everything I lost, and I had to start all over again. Like I said, I had 10 cents in my pocket, and I was 15 years old. I was faced many challenges that, many people would never even encounter in their lifetime. And by me determining to better myself and do something with myself, I was in and out of trouble when I was younger. I was the family loser, but I wanted to change that and actually make something of myself. And now I'm one of the most successful person in my family. And I'm going to be the third person to ever graduate high school in my family, and I'm the first one to ever go to college.
Good job.
Yeah.
Nice job.
You're an inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicole?
I just want to applaud you on all of your effort that you're putting in. That's incredible. There are so many times when I personally have failed at something and haven't been able to muster up the encourage myself to go back and try again where you did, and I'm very happy for you that you have, and good luck.
Thank you.
Like everyone has said here tonight, you truly are an example of what the best is in Wareham. And so again, I just want to thank you for being here tonight and for sharing your story with all of us, and also for the folks at home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I especially want to say thank you to West Wareham Academy. They did save my life. I'm just thought I'd say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say that one of the, I think, best things that have been added to our agendas is the superintendent and the administration to continue to highlight, again, the exceptional students, the exceptional effort that goes on in our community. I don't think that it's said enough of all of the incredible work that goes on within the Wareham educational system. And so again, keep it coming, and we're going to continue to highlight and promote the unbelievable students and administrators and everything that's going on in the Wareham Public Schools. The one announcement before we go on to the next agenda item, the superintendent talked about the registration. There's also a fundraiser. The common, I've said this once before, but tickets are on sale. And tickets are actually on sale tonight. If you see the lovely woman in the front row raising her hand, you can actually buy tickets to this tonight. So Comedy Night fundraising benefiting the Wareham Middle School PTA is Saturday, April 19th. It's going to be World Gone Crazy, the comedic rock and roll circus. It's at Salerno's, again on April 19th. Tickets are $25. It's a 21-plus event, and there will also be raffle items and silent auctions. I have been to the Comedy Night before. It's a lot of fun. So if anyone would like to purchase tickets tonight, they are available here. If not, please take one of the flyers. The flyers are available as you walk out the door. Okay?
It's also on our website.
And it's also on the website. Yes?
Just wanted to add that I can't recommend it enough. I've been to a few of them myself, and such a good time. It is over 21. Hope to see you there.
It's over 21.
Well, that lets me out.
Okay. All right, we will move on to the agenda item, the proposal for reductions to fiscal year 15 budget.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
could I make a comment about the Credit for Life program?
Yes. Oh, that's right. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to say that I was fortunate enough to be a volunteer at the Credit for Life program. It was a program brought to the high school by the superintendent and the principal, and I'm sure I'm leaving, I think, the dean of students and the department chair for math and science, Katie Marchessault. I had no idea what to expect, but it was thrilling in a number of ways. First of all, the students, I interact with a bunch of students, as the principal knows, and there was some skepticism, initial skepticism before they went to this program about what is this mandated program that I have to go to that is supposed to be so helpful. Well, I can tell you that the skepticism disappeared afterwards. I got uniformly positive results from high school seniors who said, really good idea, wow, this was a reality check, which is part of the phrase that they used at the program. So, Nicole, when you're required to go next year, rest assured it's a worthwhile program. The other thing I wanted to say was that I had one of the organizers of Cape Cod 5 come up to me afterwards and say, wow, you have great students. Now, candidly, I knew that, but I figured she was just, selling me, something. And I said, sure, you say that to everyone, because they frankly do this all over the Cape. And she said, no, you don't get it. Your students ask some of the best questions we ever get. And so, candidly, I'm really tired about people talking about the Wareham school system in a negative way. Our kids, I guarantee you that Amber and Nicole and Evan don't walk around thinking that we have a bad school system. They walk around thinking we have a great school system. They see it every day. We need to talk about it in those terms every day and stop talking about and worrying about the fact that we can't compete with the schools next door. Not only can we compete, we can win, not only on the basketball court, but in the academic classroom. So Credit for Life was another example of our students showing off what they can do to an entire community. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I didn't ask, and I apologize. Is there anyone else that has pieces of good news? Yes?
Just more of an announcement. I'm looking forward to hopefully attending the that Deacon's Band concert is March 11th, I think. And I don't have a child in that school anymore, but it's always a good time, and I recommend it to anyone at this table or in the seats there. And it'll be interesting to see how they do it this year, where the 5th grade isn't there anymore, because the 5th grade was all the electric guitars. So I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Anyone else? Okay. Now we'll move on to the proposal for reductions to the fiscal year 15 budget.
Mr. McMillan and I will be sharing this presentation, and we have a PowerPoint to show so everybody can see what we're talking about.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So the superintendent said he was going to present to the school committee an update on our budget, particularly the reductions we were proposing in order to meet the budget requirements for FY15. I provided this slide pack to the school committee, and it's changed in a couple of ways since the one that we included in the pack for the meeting that was circulated on Friday. This reflects, it just reflects the nature of the process. We're having daily discussions about the budget, and constantly seeking to respond to concerns that are raised by our staff, the school committee, the community, and so these, we're constantly dating it and amending it.
Michael, hold on 1 second. Can everybody hear? Okay, can you get closer and speak a little bit louder? Great.
So, just before I go through the reductions, I'd like to provide an overview of the challenge that we are seeking to meet in making these reductions. The superintendent has already presented a budget to the school committee that was passed, a budget of around 27.7 million. That although an absolute increase on our FY14 budget, it still required reductions due to an increase in our ongoing costs that we have, as well as reductions in some of our other revenue, such as grants and our school choice. However, following discussions with the town, we have now sought to develop a budget that would mean no increase on our FY14 budget. So that is a further decrease on the budget that was presented here, then passed by the school committee. This will require significant reductions. And so the proposed reductions here would deliver a budget, or a level budget from FY14 to FY15. As I go through these numbers, so we've collated all the reductions into one presentation here, so this does include the numbers that were presented in the past. And just before I show you these numbers, I just think it's also worth saying that the numbers included here are estimates of the savings that will be realised, and the actual numbers will depend on exactly which positions are cut, and, for example, if staff retire or leave, then that affects the exact savings. If fuel prices change or the needs of our special education students, all those things affect the actual savings in the end, but these are our best estimates with the information we have at the moment. So I think the plan for our presentation is I'm going to run through some of the proposed reductions, and then we'll open it for discussion. The superintendent will also comment.
Yep, and Michael, just so you know, when you turn towards the microphone, you can definitely hear you a lot louder, so if you can pull it a little bit closer to you. You have some...
There's two.
There you go.
Make up your own
No, I can speak to this one for you and this one to you. So this first slide, we've grouped the reductions under sort of headings to try and make this as clear as possible. The first measure we propose is a reconfiguration of the elementary schools, which includes the closure of East, the preschool, pre-kindergarten school, and that would involve reducing 1 teacher and 3 support staff, total savings of $235,000. Just for information, we've also included the health and dental saving that goes along with this, because obviously when we reduce a member of staff who has healthcare, that's also a saving. And although that is part of that is a cost that the town pays, it's still, that is part of the budget that we are dealing with, is the cost that the town has to pay. So this.
Yes.
I think it's important for people to understand that it gets charged to us in the in-kind resolution, reconciliation.
Yes.
So it is a real cost to the schools, that column which says health and dental savings. It's not just
it's a real saving. I mean, it's a real saving to the town as well.
Right. It's part of the LEA expense, that cost.
Yes.
Okay.
There is also, it's also worth mentioning, which I know my town colleagues would if they were here, is that if when we do cut a position, that can have unemployment benefit costs. And I've not highlighted those here, and they are offset I think the idea is that they offset the health and dental saving, but they are time limited, whereas the health and dental savings continue. So the reconfiguration of the elementary schools, we've also cut back on our supplies and materials from 103 by 103,000. A reorganisation of special education, which is reducing the number of teachers and paraprofessionals, as well as some contracted service positions, with a total saving of $430,000. The movement of the change of the middle school to a junior high model, which we would reduce 7 positions.
And we will be going into negotiations as this is a contractual issue.
And that would save $360,000. Then that was moving the middle school from the current model to a junior high model. And I don't know if we can talk about that further. Further proposed reductions, there's a reduction in the athletics budget. We also believe that we will be able to make some savings on transportation costs of transferring out of district students that we are currently paying. And there's a number of other staff cuts where we've made individual staff cuts from across the district in order to meet the budget we have to deliver. The last slide, just I think reflecting some of the comments we've already started to receive and all of the discussion that we've heard here today, that we provided a couple of options here around how we can sort of get that last $160,000 that's required to get a level budget. So we had, as has been discussed, looked at the possibility of not providing a bus service for high school students. And that would save around $160,000, as it would mean we'd be able to take 7 buses off the road and reduce the reduction in our fleet. And so that has a cost, this with the driver and fuel costs are saved there. However, recognising that it's a contentious option, we also looked at what alternative options we would have in order to make up that $163,000. So we'd suggest a further reduction in supplies and materials, further staffing cuts, and cutting down the number of late buses to just 1 a week. And so those 3 measures would help to deliver, that $163,000. So all those reductions I've outlined would deliver us a budget which is equal to FY14, while meeting the increased costs that we also have to face. I just wanted to end on a note that we continue to explore other options to reduce our costs. We are working with our town colleagues to identify opportunities where we can share costs with them, where we can improve the efficiency and effectiveness of some of the services that we both deliver. We're looking at opportunities to outsource some of the services, as that can help reduce our costs. There's energy efficiency measures. We're looking at all opportunities to reduce the cost of the supplies and materials we buy. So if we can group together with just even between our schools, or looking to work with other districts. So by working together, we can get better prices on some of the supplies we have. And we're also looking at early retirement packages for some of our staff. So I know I've gone very quickly through those reductions, but I'll pass to the superintendent now if she has anything to say.
I would go back to the reconfiguration of elementary schools. In January, January 29th, the committee voted to approve the closing of East Early Elementary Childhood Center. And since the vote, we've had 3 meetings where parents, staff, and community members have shared thoughts, opinions. They've also emailed and contacted us through the telephone and through various conversations. Gathering information from the staff, parents, community, it would be my recommendation to the committee to vote to approve the reconfiguration be as such. Minot would be pre-K, grade 3, and grade 4. Deacon's would be kindergarten, first, and second. The proposed configuration would allow for 5 pre-K rooms at Minot. There would be 10 kindergarten rooms, the average class size with the anticipated enrollment would be 21.8. First grade, there would be 12 classes. The average class size would be 22. Second grade would be 9, with the average class size of 23.8. Third grade would be 9 classrooms with the class size of 22.8, and fourth grade would be 9 with the class size 24.3. Minot would have 505 students, and Deacon's would have 695, which is just the reverse of what it is now. And so I would ask the committee if there are any questions, or I would ask for a vote.
You want to do the vote on this now?
Oh, whatever you want to.
Yeah, I think I'm going to hold the vote until the agenda item to discuss that, the reconfiguration. I want to keep the topic on what was proposed on the overall reductions. Before I open up to questions, I just want to make sure that that we state pretty much how we got here. That the school committee voted on a budget number that then went to the town. It was a conservative number of what the administrators and the superintendent felt was appropriate for Wareham school system. Since then, we have gone through, there's more information that's been given around where the state is, what we're expecting from the state when it comes to the money that we receive in the LEA, or the money that we receive in Chapter 70 from the state, as well as from the town side, the expected revenue that's coming in and how that affects all the budget, and ultimately the money that comes from the town. The communication back, or with the conversations between the town administrator and the superintendent, as well as the Board of Selectmen to us, is that that cuts will need to be made on the town, significant cuts will need to be made on the town side, as well on the school side, due to increased expenses, as well as the overall revenue that's coming in. That cuts will need to be made, and so that is the reason why. Again, we voted just on one number. We now need to discuss the proposed reductions and work towards getting to a second number that the committee will then need to vote on.
I have some other information to share. I'd like to talk a bit about the middle school moving to the junior high model. If this would happen, there would be several things that would take place. Social studies would be added back to the curriculum, and teachers would teach in a given
in a model schedule that we currently have, they would teach 5 classes with 1 prep and lunch. By doing this, this would allow us to keep our class sizes. In 5th grade, they'd be at 22 to 23. Students would have science, social studies, math, English, PE, health, etc. And then there would be a possible 5th class that students may choose to take. In 6th grade, class sizes would be 21 to 22. In 7th grade, class sizes would be 22 to 23. And in 8th grade, class sizes would be 22 to 23. And again, I would caution you, this is something that we are going into negotiations with our Educators Association as it's a change in their schedule. When we looked at, and through this process, what I would also share with you, this has been a joint collaboration between the administrators, the various directors, and we've worked together. And so this has not been done in isolation. There's been a concerted effort to communicate and work together. This is not a pleasant situation for any of us, and we're not happy that we're facing this fiscal deficit in our budget. Our goal is to provide a quality education for our students. Therefore, we've looked at all lines outside teaching. We've looked at supply lines. We're continuing to look at services that we offer that do not impact students' education. Because as you see with our class size numbers, we feel like those are very respectable numbers for our students. We continue to look at what reductions we have available to us. We know we need to get to a level-funded budget. Currently, we're looking at about a $1.6 million, correct?
Yep.
$1.6 million reduction from where we started. And that's why we have needed to look at all areas. We have wrestled with the fact of the transportation, and we clearly understand our students need transportation to school. We understand that. So we're looking at other alternatives. What can we possibly reduce in this budget to maintain transportation? And therefore you see option 2. We continue to look for reductions in our budget that we're exploring that we may be able to bring forward. If we're able to bring these reductions forward, then we will restore some of the positions that we've reduced. This is a fluid document. That's what I need to share with you. It is fluid. And I would then, we continue to work with the town. We're looking at what services we can jointly share. We're looking at outsourcing. We're always looking at how do we become more energy efficient. And we're now looking at early retirement incentives. What can we possibly do to maintain the funds we desperately need to service our students? And so at this point, I would be happy to answer any questions.
So the way that I'm going to tackle this, because there were several items here, so I want to take them one at a time, and if there are no questions, then we'll just move on to the next section. So I want to take them by each reduction. So the first reduction is the reconfiguration of the elementary schools. We do have an agenda item that talks about that. So I think unless there are specific questions around the proposed reductions, not about the reconfiguration, are there any questions on that piece? Yes.
Just a point of clarification to Michael. When you list the health and dental savings, what I notice is you can't take the positions and simply divide them into the savings and come out with the same number each time. So what I'm assuming is that you've actually looked at the individual positions, whether they have coverage, family coverage, single coverage, and actually those are very specific dollar savings. Is that a correct statement?
Yep, that's right.
Thank you.
Well, that was interesting. I saw that too. The numbers weren't matching, but that I wondered the same. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Any clarified? Okay. So the next is supplies and materials. Questions or comments regarding that proposed reduction?
Just is this part of the original one that we? All right. So there's no change here.
Not until you go down to option 2.
Although
Option 2 on the transportation, because that also includes supplies. So if you go to slide 3.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Reorganization of special ed. Yes.
It says 10 teachers and paraprofessionals. Are those all FTEs?
No, those are positions.
So
Can you speak louder?
Sorry, no, it's not FTE, it's positions. So it could be a half-time position.
Okay, all right. I was going to say, that sounded awfully high, and it still sounds awfully high. Is there any sort of like bare legal requirement that we need to meet, and are we meeting it?
Yes.
And I mean, are we at bare minimum or just about?
We're getting very close.
I mean, for special ed.
We're getting very close with everything.
Yeah, with everything, yeah. No, yeah. All right, thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Are the savings associated with the movement of the students from East to Minot reflected in this document?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other savings associated with different locations for current students reflected in this document?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. The middle school to junior high, before I take questions on this, I just have a question. I'm assuming that, one, you had talked about that this has union implications, and so that this would need to be negotiated within the union. But second, similar to the reconfiguration of the middle school, of the elementary school, that this would include open forums like you did with that to then gather, to educate the community on what this reconfiguration means, what are the differences, as well as getting feedback for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Questions regarding the middle school to junior high model? Yes.
I was going to save it until the end, but I think I should probably ask it now. Again, so we've gone through this, and there's 1 teacher with the elementary, 7 teachers with the middle, and I see another 5 teachers. Are those all FTEs?
And none of these are FTEs.
None of these are FTEs.
They're all positions.
But yet, okay, I'm counting 13 total teachers, whether they're full-time or not, and yet we're cutting these, and yet we're somehow able to manage the same or better class sizes? And can you elaborate on that, on how that's able to be done?
Yes. Class sizes at the elementary, when you bring all one grade level together, then you have 9 to 10 people that you can spread students throughout. Presently, we're looking at 4 or 5, possibly 6, depending on the location and the grade level. So more people means wider distribution. In the middle school, going from the middle school model to the junior high model, in the middle school model, a teacher has a personal prep and a team prep every day. A junior high model, according to contract, the teacher would have their personal prep, and there's not a team prep, so you would gain 1 teaching period. Thus, you have more slots to put students in and lower class sizes.
And this is being done at the high school now.
Yes.
And I bring it up sort of rhetorically because you and I have discussed this. I just wanted the public to hear it. And I think it gets back to every time we discuss, accreditation or the district review and MCAS scores, and we say, we have to learn from the successes that are going on at the high school. And I think this is one of them that we can transcend down to the middle school, and I'm in favor of that.
Yes.
Perhaps for the sake of the parents that are in the room, could you, if you were a 7th grade student and used to the middle school model, next year, if we ended up with a junior high school model, what differences would you feel?
You'd still go to class. You would still have your lunchtime. You would still have your unified arts time. You may have, really what we would like to do is to provide you optional classes. Right now, it's very prescriptive as far as what availability there is for teachers to teach. By allowing this, quote, junior high model to come into play, if I'm a teacher and I wanted to teach Civil War history, I would have a period to develop a course on Civil War history, or I would be able to develop an extra math class or an extra writing class or a reading class. It gives us much more flexibility, and so as a middle school student or a junior high student, you would have choices. Very little choices exist in our present middle school configuration, and this would open up choices.
Thank you.
Yes.
I also heard you say that we're going to bring back social studies to the curriculum. I thought we already did.
Well, it's a humanities. This would be a special social, this would be a social studies class or a history class.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. The next reduction, thank you. Reductions in athletics. Questions, comments? Yes.
I admit to a conflict of interest, but I just want to know what that, has it been determined what that means?
I would look at Mr., we're still working on this, but Mr. Palladino has a few more details because he's been intimately involved.
At this point in time, we're looking at two areas. We're not looking to cut any sports. I want to preface that. We're not going to cut any sports. We're looking at two areas to reduce the cost to come up with that $20,000 in savings. There is more competition now for our athletic trainers than ever before, and we're going to use that for our advantage. There are at least 3 companies out there that are going to be putting in bids for our athletic training services. We anticipate 1/3 to 1/2 of the cost avoidance here to come from a new contract for our athletic trainer. The second area, which I'm actually working on right now, we're going to be asking to come in front of the school committee to increase the user fees. Our user fees have been static for the last 12 years, and obviously with the increased costs of transportation, coaches' salaries, and officials, we haven't been able to cover that gap without increasing that. So we will be in front of you at some point in time to ask for user fees to be increased very modestly, but in alignment with other schools in our conference that do charge user fees. So those will be the 2 areas we'll be looking to recoup that $20,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything? Okay. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Transportation savings out of district runs. Again, this is not the third slide where it talks about the 2 options. This is just savings on out of district runs. Questions or comments? Okay. The next section is other staff cuts. Okay. And the third slide, yes.
Is this, are we on option 2 now?
We're reduction of option 1 and option 2.
Okay.
Yep, so the slide, next slide, yep. So this is 1, so I'll take the whole piece together. This weekend, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Me?
Yes.
You know how I felt about transporting our kids since I've been on this committee. I think Mrs. Deaconess might have seen my notes because everything that she said is exactly what I wrote down. I think if we cut transportation to the high school, it'll be easy to determine the next cuts because we can start cutting positions because those kids aren't going to go to school. It's a tough situation. When you look at the town with people living in motels and not every parent has the ability to drive their children to school. And if you take that away, it's going to create a lot of kids. I know if it's 10 degrees outside, some of these kids just aren't going to go to school. We need to find a way to continue to transport the kids to school. If you cut out the transportation, and even down on the bottom, to me it's just the same. If you're cutting down late buses, now we're talking on the front end, we can't get them to school. On the back end, we can't get them home. So we need to be creative in how that's done. And, you know, I think one of the things, we did a study, Mr. Tatro did a study, a survey, if you will, to the parents to find out how many parents drive their kids to school. The problem with a survey is you send out 4,000 surveys and you might get 40 back. Maybe we need to look into transportation forms where before the school season starts, there are forms that become mandatory for every parent to fill out whether or not your child will ride the bus. And if you have something like that, it'll give the transportation manager an idea, because the forms will be mandatory, that if they don't come back, your child's not going to be able to ride the bus. You get those back and you have an idea on how many buses you can eliminate and you know, any reductions, but give the parents the option that they need to let us know whether or not they're going to drive their children to school. But to come out and say, we're not going to bus grades 9 to 12, I want to know deep down in Shangri-La, which is almost in Plymouth, how that 9th grader is going to get to school if their parents or their neighbors or someone else doesn't have a car. And I talked to some people that said, back in the day, I walked 10 blocks to school. I don't want to hear that, because in today's day, 8 out of those 10 blocks are drug dealers and all other possible bad things that are out there. And, you know, I keep going back to Mrs. Deacons because she nailed it in her speech, and so did Mrs. Pelletier, that putting those kids on the street that don't come to school, those are the ones that the law enforcement is going to be picking up on Main Street, Wareham, and elsewhere. So I urge the committee going forward, the next school committee meeting or agenda or whatever, to really give this some thought, because if you don't bus them to school, they're not going to go. That's all I have.
Thank you. Yes.
Just, I think we're at a point now where I just want to be clear, everything we've discussed up to this option 1, I think that constitutes how much in savings from the original budget?
So from the original budget we presented, which was
I remember a
million.
level service, I think, was going to be 5.9% above last year.
Yeah,
Then
so
we got it down to 2.9. Is this the 2.9?
No, it goes beyond that now.
Goes beyond that.
Basically, it's taken us to within $106,000 of our level budget. So we've just...
This one isn't, I don't think.
No, that's this one, yeah.
Yeah, so about how much more, you said?
So that's 1.4 million savings to this point. And then this last option is kind of the last hurdle to get us to a level service budget, a level funded budget.
So literally there'll be a zero, I mean, if we get down to the last bit here, there'll be a 0% increase over FY14.
Exactly.
Okay. And we don't know, do we know what the town's numbers are yet? No? As far as, no? Okay. Thank you.
I think that the town administrator has been presenting numbers and budget and potential cuts just like we are. But like the superintendent said, that we continue to get more information in the door, and, you know, so again, basically saying what that number is, we're projecting.
Yeah. Okay.
A realistic projection, though. We're pretty clear on what it's going to be close to.
It's amazing that a lot of the things that were said here under public participation were things that I had considered and was going to go on and on and on and on about why it's important to provide transportation services for our kids. I don't know much about option 2. This is fairly new to me, but in terms of, I probably have to know a little bit more about option 2, but I absolutely know about option 1. I can't support option 1 under any circumstances. And I agree with everything that was said. I agree with everything that was said, and there were a couple of things that really, really stuck with me, and it's the things that were kind of bothering me a little bit, because I don't know who said it, but someone said that, you know, if parents are on the fence about seeking alternative education, you know, and they've got to transport kids, well, what the heck, if they got to transport them, and if they're on the fence now, they might as well transport them to where they're on the fence too. And I think that says volumes. But one of the things that wasn't mentioned that I'd like to mention right now is, and I think it's just as important, and I think we have a moral obligation to consider this, is the safety factor. You know, I'll lay a scenario out there, and this is no one in particular, but let's listen to this scenario for a second, because I thought a lot about that. I taught at UMass this afternoon, and on the way home I was thinking about it. So we've got little Johnny Doe that lives down, let's just say, Indian Mound Beach. Okay, and little Johnny Doe is a 9th grader, and he's walking to school down Route 6 and 28. And he's walking down Route 6 and 28, dodging all of the snow that's banked up on the sidewalks, or lack of sidewalks, if you will. And drivers are going down Route 6 and 28, supposedly at 35 miles an hour, but they're going 45 miles an hour. And Johnny Doe is in not only dodging the cars, but the cars are dodging Johnny Doe. And not only is it a hazard to Johnny Doe, but it's a hazard to those drivers also, because no one wants to be the driver that hits little Johnny Doe. So he's got to hoof it to school at 6:30 in the morning, because that's when he has to leave to make it to school, which is probably, what, 7 or 8 miles away? Come on, folks. I can't support that. I can't support that scenario. And that's not the only scenario. We can write scenarios like this right across the board. So, you know, and then the other thing, can we really, really, as a system, allow our high school to lose its level 1 accreditation for the sake of attendance? Come on, we're doing too many things right. We have an obligation to get our kids to school, and we have to do it. And the last point that I'll make is, no matter how you slice the cake, it's discriminatory. Because those folks that have the means or support system can get their kids to school. It's those folks that don't have the support system or the means that are going to have difficulty if we don't transport these kids to high school. So therefore, I don't know much about level 2, but I know I can't support level 1.
Thank you. Yeah. Actually, before going, I'm going to go to Nicole.
I definitely agree with Dr. Sylvia. Of these two options, while I don't support either of them in any way, it's definitely choosing the lesser of two evils. Option 1, I'm pretty sure that a vast majority of students would not go to school if there were no buses. I'm one of them. I could not get there. So while option 2, I think, is going to be detrimental to education as well, option 1 is a lot worse. So I guess if it has to be those two options, I go with option 2. I actually have a question, though. Are those 4 teaching positions and the 1 support staff, are those all from the high school, particularly?
Right now, we've not made any reductions public, so we really can't answer that.
Thank you, Nicole.
Sorry.
That's
all. First, a question. Should we view the last page, other cost reduction measures being explored, as having the potential to equal the $163,000 that option 1 and option 2 represent? In other words, is that a legitimate option 3, or is it something we're just hoping we can find some additional dollars, but we have no idea how much they might represent?
I think it's closer to the latter. I think that, I think the situation we're in, we have an obligation to be exploring all opportunities to maximise our budget. And so we are coming up with concrete proposals on how to get down to a level service budget, but it is also important that we have an efficient and effective budget, and all these further measures are a part to deliver that. So I think we have to do all these reductions, but we have to keep on doing these measures to kind of make the most of the money that we do have, because we still want to provide the best education we can.
So realistically, it is either option 1 or option 2.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be faced with these two alternatives as a school committee member after 8 years. Even worse is the fact that unless something changes, we're just going to keep repeating this year after year after year. And that, frankly, frightens me even more. So, while I feel a responsibility as our outstanding student representative indicated to choose between the lesser of two evils, there is only one choice in my mind, and I've done my own research in terms of impact. I got on this committee because I care deeply about students and the parents that support them. And as terrible as option 2 is, option 1 is worse. Because I am convinced that this law that, well, they can't even figure out how to update the Chapter 70 law so that we don't get inappropriately and insufficiently funded. But this idea that a community like Wareham, and there are many, many other communities like Wareham across the Commonwealth. In fact, 80% are struggling with the same kind of problems. The idea that K through 6 from and outside 2 miles and everybody else is on their own is so stupid as it just doesn't recognize two working families, level of incomes that are struggling. It just doesn't make any sense, and it wouldn't work in Wareham, and it wouldn't work in other communities as well. So I have to agree with my colleagues and our student representative. Option 1 is unacceptable.
Thank you. So for all the reasons that were said here tonight, and again, I appreciate everyone who came and spoke and provided input into exactly the non-debate that you're hearing at this table right now. The reasons around hardship on parents and students. I'm a parent that uses the school bus. I could not have my job if my child didn't use the buses. So I can understand at any level the hardship to parents. The safety is huge that we've debated. It seems like every single year at this table, these same things around the hardship to parents, the safety, the impact on students, as well as the several other reasons that were listed here tonight. So again, to be able to say that transportation is the thing that we're not going to provide is unacceptable. But that $163,000 number is real. And when you take a look at option 2, that is after the cuts of almost $1 million that I still think are unacceptable. So we're talking about the supplies and materials of $103,000. Basically what you're saying is that we're taking supplies that, because of the budget reductions, that means that we have to take additional supplies out of our schools. The reorganization of special ed, that means that, again, we are taking some of our most high needs population of students and taking and reconfiguring or continuing to lessen the services that we're providing. Again, the state minimum what we are required to do, absolutely never go beyond that. But we always like to provide an additional level of service to our special needs students. That is $430,000. That's real. That's coming out of our budget. The last one has to do with the other staff cuts of $255,000. So what we're saying, we're talking about $163,000 here, and wow, my voice is raising, and I apologize. But what I think that it's important for everybody to understand is how unacceptable it is that we are cutting an additional $946,000 or $950,000, almost $1 million of real cuts out of this budget. So I take a look at option 1 and option 2, and I say both are unacceptable, as well as the 3 pieces that I just mentioned. And then I keep going to an option 3, which is how do we get more revenue into this town? And that is what, the cuts are real and they have to be made. They just do. There is, if you go and you are part of the process, or even like you are here today asking the questions, you will understand, same with the Board of Selectmen, that there is no more money. If you listen to the Board of Selectmen meetings, there are significant cuts on their side also. So you were saying, so basically what we're saying is that Wareham has gotten to a point where our expenses have gone way above and are exceeding, and not our expenses, the amount that to provide services. We're talking about healthcare costs. We're talking about costs that we have no control over. That is exceeding our ability to maintain the budget that we need in this town. And so the conversation has to switch to how do we get more money into this town? And there are several different ways, but that is what I think is important just to tee up, that we're looking for help with solutions on how to continue the services that this town needs, and being able to have the funds to support those services. So to me, there is an option 3, and I think that I've said it before, and that you will hear more conversations about that, but I agree with my committee members. I agree with what has been said, that I've heard from the superintendent, that I've heard from the administrators, that option 1 from all of us is devastating. But that $163,000 is real, no matter where that $163,000 come from, including the $950,000 that we just or the other proposed reductions. That still is cutting services within our school. So I have to agree with my fellow colleagues that that is something that is very, very difficult to support, but also option 2 is difficult to support. But we're going to have to figure out exactly what number we're going to vote into the next round of town meeting. Yes.
Thank you for that. I hear the word unacceptable all the time, but here we are, we're accepting it. And we hear it all the time that here we go yet again, we're dismantling Wareham Public Schools. And so here we are, we're down to a 0% increase. And I'm reminded about what Mr. Slavin says when he discusses this. He says we have $1. We can't spend more than $1. The problem is that dollar is worth less next year, and we're going to have the same problem next year and the year after that. And I guess what I'd like to ask for this year is great. We're at level funded with 0, but are we going to be asked to cut even more? Like, do we know that? I mean, at all? We don't.
No.
Thank you, I think.
Okay. So again, we're not taking a vote here tonight,
I know.
but these are all important. I mean, again, as it continues, that we will continue to present here. Yes? Yes?
I'd just like to take advantage and to piggyback on what you said in your comments. Take advantage of all of the people that might be watching and the people that are here. There will be an opportunity at town meeting, and there may very well be an opportunity at the ballot box to express your desire to add some revenue to this town. I understand when people can't afford something. I get that. But if the reason you're inclined to vote against it is because you don't trust, I urge you to reconsider. I hear people say, okay, we'll get it for 1 year and then they'll take it back because they don't trust the town side of government. I want to tell you that I believe we have the best leadership on the town side of government we've had in a decade. I trust them. I support them. I believe they care deeply about education. And thanks to the work of our chair on a subcommittee, if you will, we're making great progress about trying to do the best we can for the few dollars we've got. But if we really want to continue the momentum, and there is positive momentum in this town, we're going to have to take some difficult votes and support the town leadership's desire to add some revenues so that some of these cuts don't take place. There's not a person on this stage who is not going to be impacted by the increase in taxes. We're voting our dollars as well as your dollars. Our superintendent is about to move into a house in Onset. And Nicole's mother is certainly a taxpayer, and we hope she sticks around to become an outstanding taxpayer here as well. So I just urge you to keep an open mind when those tough votes occur. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Can I say something else?
Of
Just
course.
quick.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think that needs to be pointed out is I think these cuts are distasteful to everyone on this stage. And where we may disagree on this cut or that cut, or where the priority might be, I think we all are in agreement that these cuts are draconian, and they're just not a great idea. But I do have to say this, and some of these cuts, especially the educational cuts, have not been in isolation. We've had subcommittees, we've had conversations, we've had executive sessions. We've really talked a lot about this, and it's a double-edged sword. When we're yelling about 1.4 million or 1.5 million dollars worth of cuts, we're saying, or we're laying the foundation for a misperception, if you will, in that somehow or other, if we've got to cut 1.4 out of the budget or 1.5 out of the budget, man, oh man, that school system isn't doing anything, and there's nothing there for kids. And you have to walk a tightrope in the way you approach this, because I can say, as an educator for 48 years, that while these cuts are bad, and these cuts do go to the core of Wareham Public Schools, I don't think at this point in time, I think at this point in time that we can still maintain the integrity of Wareham Public Schools and the services that we're offering our kids. So where these cuts, in my opinion, are absolutely unacceptable, I do think there's been a lot of creative work done on this. And I do want to say that I think that despite these cuts, we still can uphold the integrity of Wareham Public Schools and the services that we offer our kids. And I think that's an important point.
Thank you. And anything else? Michael, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, so I just want to end this portion of the budget again, thanking the people in the audience for coming and expressing their thoughts and their opinions tonight. I also think it's important to piggyback a little bit on what Jeff said, that not only is the work being done here, and thank the superintendent and Michael, as well as the rest of the administrators, for really all of the hard work that they put into this, because at the end of the day, it's what you will be dealing with on a daily basis, whatever vote is taken. But also that there is the momentum that is happening with the Board of Selectmen, the FinCom, the town administrator, the superintendent. I have never seen a group come together and work harder on the cuts that we're facing. Again, it's across the board, and if folks need to understand more about it, please ask the questions, that this is not a case of there's going to be a pool of money found somewhere. There isn't. And so ask the questions at the Board of Selectmen meeting, at the school committee meeting, but I want to thank the chairs of the FinCom and the Board of Selectmen for continuing to work on this. So I'm hoping that we actually come back and go, I'm sorry to do this, but, you know, we don't have to make them that, you know, that there are some things that have happened, but I don't expect that to happen, but I know that the FinCom is doing an incredible job of diving into it on a very, you know, basis of not being on one side or the other. They're looking at it strictly from, here are our recommendations on what's in the best interest of the town. The same thing with the Board of Selectmen doing with the whole entire town government, but then also the schools with the school side of the budget. So just personally working with the members this year, I've never seen a more collaborative effort, and I think it's just important to say that, and also thank those town leaders and hope that we continue in that spirit all the way leading up to town meeting, as well as the April town election. So, thank you for that.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anything else? Great. So I know that a lot of people were here to hear that, but please stay tuned because we have amazing agenda items like the vote to declare property surplus and the Wareham High School guidance counselor presentation. So I understand folks that want to leave, but I will go on to the next agenda item, which is the minutes of the meeting of February 12th. I will take a motion. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second for discussion.
Okay, second for discussion. Michael?
Just on the first page, about 3/4 of the way down, it says, Chris Holbrook, parent, stated the need for not just a SRO, but this SRO. And I think for historical perspective, it really should specify who that is, in parentheses, maybe Carl Baptiste, just so she knows, everyone knows who she meant.
Okay. All right. So we're going to add, okay. Everybody's gone, but Michelle, can you add that to the? Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Do we need to withdraw that with the following change, or Michelle, is it okay just to keep that and then say with the changes?
I have some more.
Okay. Discussion. So go ahead. Next.
Okay. Also, under page 4, the WHS course of studies, Mrs. Frater spoke about dual enrollment, and I'm not sure, I don't think it's clear in here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the transportation for the dual enrollment to Bridgewater will be at zero cost to Wareham schools, and I think that needs to be in the minutes as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Michelle, do you have that?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right here.
Tuition rate. Oh, you just want to add a sentence?
Something in there that conveys and memorializes that it's not coming out of our budget.
Michelle, can you just read what, I mean, do you want a suggestion? Okay, yep, so.
He's the one that wants to change, and we need to put what he wants to put in it exactly. So
Okay. Let's see, how about, all right, under the agreement, Bridgewater would provide transportation at no cost to Wareham Public Schools.
Okay.
Okay,
Dot.
next change?
Next change. Page 5, toward the bottom, Mr. Flaherty asked why we're not giving Hammond back to the town, but okay. I just think that the name of the schools should be the full names of the schools, just so when people are familiar, they know exactly what we're talking about. One of them just says east, that's a direction, So if we just have the full names of the schools there.
So Hammond School is okay, but East Elementary, or East Early Childhood. Michelle, do you have that? Yes. Great.
And that's all of my suggested changes.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second.
Move approval as amended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain?
Abstain.
3, 1, 1. No, 301.
Yeah.
Yeah.
301.
Okay. Thank you. Our next agenda item is presentation by the high school guidance counselors. Welcome. Thanks for waiting. I appreciate it. You the musical interlude?
Go to the chief.
I'll start with the introductions. Lisa Shields.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa.
Guidance Counselor Pam Franklin, and Robin Camber, our guidance counselors here at the high school. And they all have basically a third of the responsibilities for all of our students in grades 9 through 12. And they've done a nice job this year, and I know they're going to talk about the curriculum and all the great things they do inside the classrooms and in the office. And I'm excited to see this, and I've had a chance to look at the presentation, and I think it's going to be a great presentation here tonight. So I'll turn it over to Pam.
You just have to get it up before Cliff makes some flippant comment about technology. That's the only timing that we don't have any other timing except for that.
I've been good tonight, too.
Sorry, I know I should turn this towards me. We thank you for having us. I'm obviously Lisa Shields, one of the guidance counselors at the high school. We've prepared an informative presentation, and Pam Franklin is going to start us off.
The Wareham High School Guidance Department's mission statement: we are dedicated to fostering the individual growth of all students. This is best accomplished through personal, educational, and career counseling, consultation, student appraisal, and referral. We have 3 full-time guidance counselors at the high school, and counselors remain with their students throughout their high school careers. Years ago, when the director of guidance position was eliminated and he retired, each counselor took on additional responsibilities. Ms. Shields, who has been a high school counselor for 9 years, 7 at Wareham High School, is the job placement coordinator, the freshman seminar leader, SAT associate supervisor, Choices Career seminar leader, PSAT seminar leader, and the junior course selection seminar leader, in addition to her responsibilities as a guidance counselor. As you can see by the chart, she has the beginning of the alphabet. Mr. Camber has been a teacher and guidance counselor for 30 years, 29 at the middle school. His additional responsibilities include freshman course selection, seminar leader, military liaison, in-school college visit coordinator, on-site admissions coordinator, career day liaison, and job shadowing liaison. He has the end of the alphabet. And I'm Mrs. Franklin, a very proud Wareham High School graduate, and a very proud Wareham High School educator who has been a guidance counselor at the high school for the past 29 years, and I'm also a first-generation college student. My responsibilities include SAT administrator, scholarship coordinator, junior and senior college admissions and SAT seminar leader, the PCC liaison, college homecoming and financial aid coordinator, and sophomore course selection seminar leader. I have the middle of the alphabet. The Wareham High School Guidance Department provides a developmental curriculum that presents information to students and parents through a series of classroom presentations and lessons and workshops. In 2012, the NEASC reaccreditation report included a commendation for our guidance department delivery of a developmental guidance curriculum.
At the high school, we have a 4-year delivery system that begins in grade 9. So grade 9 is going to be the introduction and transition piece. In September, we have the introduction to the guidance counselors, which is done via a class meeting on the first day of school. Also in September, we do what we call a freshman seminar, in which I go into all the grade 9 English classes and provide an hour-long presentation. And the topics can include, obviously, how to sign up to see your counselor, the importance of doing well in school and connecting it to post-secondary options, learning styles, current top careers, and time management strategies. In December, we present information on the Project Contemporary Competitiveness, which is an advanced study program for freshmen at Stonehill College. And then in the springtime, we have course selection, in which we help students select courses, which will obviously drive them towards their post-secondary options. The next is our graduation requirements and four-year plan. We have actually a great, we think, a great chart that we use with every single student. So this is our Wareham graduation and four-year plan chart. And as you can see, we start obviously freshman year. We meet with a student every single year to update this chart to go over all of their graduation credits. And as you can see, all the graduation requirements for the Mass Core are on this chart. We obviously talk about the credits that they're taking and the credits that they've earned. During grade 12, we obviously will talk about what credits they need for graduation for their final year. And then every year, we mark down their post-high school plan. So we meet with them to discuss what kind of goals that they have, so we can help navigate and direct them in terms of courses, in terms of college planning. And then, of course, we have the students sign every year when we meet with them. And we also, of course, record their MCAS scores and track their educational proficiency plans if they have one. Oops, sorry. During grade 10, we now start to go into career building. October is devoted to PSAT introduction, in which this year was the first year that all sophomores took the PSAT along with the juniors. So we go into the classrooms to present to them and just go over what the PSAT and the importance of it and doing well on it to help prep them for the SAT. We provide them with a study guide booklet. We also talk to them about going on to College Board too, if they would like some free resources to take some test-taking strategies. In December, the PSAT results come back to us, and we go in again to present to students what the results are and what they mean. We also introduce them to My College Quick Start, which is a great program through College Board in which it provides a personalized study guide for students and prepping for the SAT. So it's really geared how they did, what kind of questions, how well they did, what questions they might have to improve upon. So everything is individualized, and they have access to that, obviously, for free. In March, we go into the classroom to do the Bridges program, which is a college and career exploration program. All the sophomores will take a career inventory, so they'll answer a series of questions, and this will come up with a list of careers that they could explore. So we spend a class period exploring these different careers, and then we take it a step further in terms of looking at different colleges that have this program. And this is a program that all the guidance counselors use, and we use this throughout their years at Wareham High School. So it's a really great program in which we do a lot of college planning using that program. And then finally in the spring, again, we are doing course selection with the students and in terms of picking courses and again, guiding them to the proper classes.
Our 11th grade curriculum is our college workshop, and there we're really highlighting preparing for college. So with the juniors, we do a PSAT introduction. We talk about college visits. Mr. Camber's going to talk a little bit more about that, and All Cape College Day. In December, we do the PSAT results with the juniors and reinforce the importance of working with My College Quick Start. March, I do a college admissions presentation. It's a two-parter, and it's their introduction to what they need to know to get prepared to apply for colleges. In fact, next week I'll be starting those presentations. They also include an SAT introduction and information for their parents to go to our junior college planning night. In the spring, we do course selections with all of our juniors. I just want to show you quickly, because I know that it's late and we're pressed for time, but in our junior college, our junior group guidance presentation, these are some of the things that we talk about. We want our juniors to start to think of what are they looking at when they're choosing a college, the types of college. We talk about the difference between 2- and 4-year, technical, private versus public. We talk about costs, location, size, whether they're going to live on campus or commute. We talk about how important it is for the college that you're interested in to have the programs that you're looking for. If you're looking to play athletics, whether it's D1, D2, or D3. Then we also talk about what the colleges do to evaluate your application. We explain the importance of the transcript, class rank, grade point average, SATs, subject tests if they need to take them, their activities, their essay. We also talk about recommendations, getting your teacher recommendations, your counselor recommendation. If you need a specialist recommendation from your pastor because you're going to a Christian college, or from your music teacher because you're going to be a music major, we include all of that information. I also present them because so many of our students go on to a Massachusetts State College or university, and most of them are called Massachusetts State Universities now, or the UMass system. They have a chart that has a sliding scale. So the higher your grade point average is, the lower your SAT scores can be. But on the other hand, the lower your grade point average is, the higher your SAT scores need to be. So it's to encourage them to always do the best that they possibly can in each one of their classes and keep their grade point average up high so that they can get into the Massachusetts system. We talk about the resources that they have in the guidance office. We talk about fee waivers, which is a very important thing for a lot of our students. All of our students that are on free or reduced lunch can get fee waivers to take the SAT in both their junior year and their senior year for free. So we stress to them how important it is to get those lunch forms filled out and turned in. Once they use an SAT fee waiver, then they're allowed to get 4 college application fee waivers in their senior year. We really want to encourage them to do that. We don't want them to feel like money will stop them from applying to schools. We also talk about the fall visits by college reps, which Robin will talk about in a minute. The importance of families going to visit colleges, how to obtain a visit and set up a visit. And then we go over the timeline, which is a month by month or kind of a season by season. What should you be doing when? So anytime when a student's not sure, what should I be doing right now? This is our junior year timeline. All of the students get this in the junior presentation, which I'll be doing in classrooms next week. Our senior presentation includes the college admissions part 2 presentation. So now you're a senior, it's September. What are you actually going to do? What do you need to do to get those applications out and be ready to apply? And we also talk about retaking the SATs. We're an SAT test center. I'm proud to say that we are. We'll always continue to be one as long as we can because it makes it easier for our students to take the SAT right in their own school, right in their own community. So we offer it in May of their junior year and again in November of their senior year. In December, we go into the classrooms to talk about financial aid, college homecoming, the AFL-CIO scholarship exam, and our senior parent financial aid night that we have every year in January. In March, we'll be going in next week to give them a local scholarship application. All of our seniors are encouraged to complete this one-page local scholarship application, which then gets binded into a booklet that some of our scholarship providers use. And I will talk about scholarships in a minute. Quickly, some of the senior topics that we talk about in this presentation, you'll see how we cover the gamut to prepare our kids for college because so many of our students are first-generation college students. They don't have a parent at home who has gone on to college or graduated from college. So we help them. We don't do it for them, but we're there with them every step of the way. So our senior topics include the senior year timeline, Again, going to All Cape College Day, which is a large college fair sponsored by our organization, the Cape and Islands School Counselor Association. We talk about in-school visiting with the colleges that come here, SATs, ACTs, subject tests, going to visit colleges, handling the college interview. That's one of my favorite parts of the presentation, because I come in and I sit like this, okay, I'm ready to interview, what is wrong? Well, the kids all yell, body language, you need to be sitting up straight, you need to be maintaining good eye contact. So the interview piece is a lot of fun. We talk about essays and the common application, what is needed to complete the application, transcript request forms, the activity sheet recommendations, who does what with your application when you're all ready. And then I also cover a financial aid overview, which goes over the profile and the FAFSA form. And scholarships, we talk about local scholarships and the importance of applying for all the local scholarships that are available. I have to say, that's one of the proudest things that I have about this community. We may be socially, economically, not on the high-end scale, but when it comes to the generosity of the individuals and the organizations in this town, I am so proud. $250,000 in local scholarships each year, or more. We have always been at a high level, nothing compared to some of our richer communities to the north, south, whatever. And so we really are pleased by, and we're so thankful for all the individuals and the organizations and the trust funds that contribute to scholarships for our seniors. And then we talk about the waiting game, what they need to do when they actually get those acceptances and how they respond to those. And there's just a little senior year timeline, kind of a month by month, what you should be doing now. We encourage the students to share all of these pamphlets, all of these papers with their parents, so their parents also know about the process.
Okay, some of the student services that we provide for the students include individual and group meetings with all the students. We're meeting with them regularly, every day just about. We offer, excuse me, dual enrollment. We now have dual enrollment with Bristol Community College, Cape Cod Community College, and we're looking at working out a deal with Bridgewater also, as was mentioned earlier, and Massasoit Community College as well. The opportunity for students to visit with college admissions people. We had about 60 colleges that actually came to the school this year and met with students. Students could sign up for the particular college that they were interested in, and the representatives came down and spoke with them, gave them applications, and so on and so forth. We had about close to 60 schools that came in. The sophomore college visits, we had a college access program where students went out to actual colleges in their sophomore year just to get a feel for what college life is like, which went over very well. They went to probably maybe, I don't know, together maybe 10 colleges, and all the sophomores were participating in that. We're involved with parent conferences. The guidance counselor is kind of the chairperson for the parent conferences after school. We're also a member of the IEP team, the special ed program, where we do the transition, what's going to happen to students once they graduate from high school. We're involved with that process. Scholarship opportunities, employment opportunities. Sometimes businesses will call us and say, we're looking for a student for this or for that, and we try to match up students with those particular jobs. We also offer the UMass Dartmouth Primes program. They work with Lockheed Martin in Marion, and it's for students that are interested in going into an engineering program or math and science interest. College Access, as I mentioned, they're part of the grant program that we have, and they help students with different colleges and financial aid information. The College Gold Sunday, again, where financial aid programs are offered by different schools, different colleges. And the ASVAB testing, which I coordinated with the military. They come down and the students can sign up to take that, and it's basically a career exploration program. They tell them what their interests are and what they might want to pursue. In fact, they're going to be coming within the next week or so to go over the results of that. And it's not just for students that want to go into military, it's just a general career exploration program. But it tells them what their score is and what service program they could get into. As I mentioned, the college visits, I don't know if Lisa's going to put up the...
College acceptances came first. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Again, we had over 60 colleges that came to the school that students signed up for. And
College acceptances came up first. Sorry,
Oh,
I'll go back. It's okay.
sorry.
I can go.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Oh, it's college acceptances, we've already had...
And I'm sorry, just in the bottom right, there's actually something where you can increase the size of that. The very bottom, there should be a plus sign.
Am I not knowing how to do that?
It's not going anywhere.
How come this isn't working for me?
Well, basically,
Okay.
I can highlight some of the colleges that students have already been accepted to. Certainly all of the state schools, you know, Bridgewater, Westfield, you know, all the state schools. But in addition to that, students have already been accepted to the Mass College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, Worcester Polytech, we have a student that accepted there, Stony Brook University, University of Washington. You know, there's a whole number of colleges that students have already been accepted to, about 60 right now, and we're still getting more in. Some of the students haven't reported some of them to us at this time. Also, Bristol Community Colleges comes in and actually does interviews with the students right here in the guidance department, and a lot of them will get accepted right on the spot. We had about 22 students that have signed up for that, and Cape Cod Community College also comes in, and we've had about 18 students that get interviews for Cape Cod Community College, and they also get accepted on the spot. And I want to mention, too, that Pam mentioned about scholarships. With all these acceptance letters, I don't have the actual count, but I'm amazed at the number of scholarships that these schools are offering our students. It's incredible. I mean, full-year scholarships for the 4 years. We're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars that come in with these acceptances. So I've been very impressed with that. So you can see the list up there if it's not up there now.
It was.
Okay. And again, there's a list of the college that's visited us here at school. And we had about, like I said, about 60 schools that actually came to the guidance office and met with students. The military, they're always hounding me every day. They're calling me. Somebody's calling me. The Marines, the Air Force, the Army. Can we come in? Can we come in? Can we come in? And basically what we do is we let them go into the cafeteria during lunch, and they set up a table, and students, if they're interested, they can go up to them and discuss anything with them. They usually give them some information and so on and so forth. And they like to come in on a regular basis. What I like is they bring in presents to bribe me, which I like, you know.
Under $50.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. No, it's nothing personal. It's like pencils and calendars and, you know, stuff like that, which we can use in the office.
Contraband.
And I'll be taking a field trip with students to Universal Technical Institute also, for those students that may be not interested in a regular college experience, but I'm trying to get them motivated into wanting to do something after high school. And as I said, the College Access Program coordinated a number of field trips to different colleges. Okay, and the last thing I want to talk about is the services that we offer and the topics that we cover. We had a loss of an adjustment council last year, and huh? Oh, okay. Oh, I got my thing. I can see it. Yeah, that's fine. So we're dealing with family issues with students all the time, stress-related things, relationships, coping issues, academic concerns, drug abuse, grief, loss, dropout prevention. We're always talking to students about that, ways that they can stay in school, helping them either maybe taking a course at the night school or summer school to catch up so that they can graduate on time, self-harm issues, divorce, and each one of us has a working relationship with most of the agencies in town and specific therapists, Department of Children and Families, we know people there, the courts, and various hospitals. So we offer a wide variety of services for our students at the middle school.
For additional programming, we, like I said, we participate in All Cape College Day. College Access actually provided a bus for our students to go down there this year. Where we put on a financial aid night for our senior parents. Eileen O'Leary from Stonehill College has been running the program for us for the last 29 years. She does a great job. We have a junior parent night that is coming up on March 20th, where we invite all of our juniors and their parents to come to learn about the college admissions process. College Homecoming is another one of the wonderful programs we've been doing for years, where we invite our alumni that are presently attending college to come back and speak with our seniors about their college experience. So it really helps in the transition. It lets them hear from other kids who have graduated from our high school about what college is all about for them. We have our annual scholarship provider meeting coming up in May, career fair that Robin's helping out and working with, job shadowing opportunities. Every quarter, we contribute guidance news to the Good newsletter that goes out to all of the families of our students with their report cards. And this year, Lisa developed a grade 8 parent newsletter that was given out at 8th grade orientation to welcome parents and families to our high school.
Professional development. The Wareham Guidance Department, we're all members of the Cape and Island School Guidance Association, known as SISCA, as well as the Massachusetts School Counselor Association, known as MASCA. We attend annual Massachusetts Educational Financing Authority financial aid workshops, and we also attend annual College Board SAT workshops. We are members of the New England Association for College Admission Counseling, as well as we attend various workshops on topics of interest to remain current in our field of expertise. So such topics recently have included college services for special education students, the law and student records, and working with students with OCD. And that our last two slides are actually devoted to student experiences. We thought, what better way to describe our services than through the student experience? So I know this might be hard to read if you're kind of far away, so I just thought I would read them along if that's okay. The first one is, my guidance counselor has done more than just guide me, but truly monitored and mentored my progress to make sure I was successful in my college search. Whether it was a financial aid workshop, a quick meeting between classes, or a long talk about scholarships and financial aid, the guidance office has helped me every step of the way into setting myself up for success in the college of my dreams. And then our second student, my parents never went to college, so I was completely and utterly confused about the whole application process and everything that came along with it. I made an appointment with my counselor, and she told me to really look at colleges that would fit my wants and needs. My guidance counselor told me to visit the schools I was interested in to see if I liked the campus environment and where it was located. She advised me to find a school I would like to have as a safety school just in case I didn't get accepted to any of my other schools. When it came time to send in my applications, she helped me review everything and told me what I needed to fix and gave me all the information I needed to know to finish the applications. When I sent them in, I felt pretty confident because there was someone there to help me when I was confused and to answer all of my questions. If it weren't for my guidance counselor, this process would not have gone so smoothly, and I may not have been accepted to all of the schools I applied to. And that is the end of our presentation, and we'd be happy to answer questions about our programs and anything else.
No, thank you very much for your presentation. Thanks
Thank
for being
you.
here. Jared, which end do you want to start on? I'll go this way.
No questions, just I want to commend all of you, especially Mrs. Franklin that's been there for forever.
I don't know, there was some talk about an early retirement incentive. I think we want to know a little bit more about that.
That's going to be talked about in 2 years. So. One thing I'm happy to is the college homecoming, because that was going to be my question. As I know, Jeff always talks about where are they now and how are they doing. Are we tracking our college students? On behalf of my daughter, who's the one that's gone to Mass College of Pharmacy, and first semester she got a 3.9.
Wow,
so
great.
definitely took after the mother. And was very thankful of all the support that the guidance counselors have done, and I want to personally thank you. And when you do the homecoming, is that it's open to everyone?
Yes.
Can you just tell me a little more about that, because I'm excited about that part.
Well, we had great help from Jamie this year, who publicized it in the newspapers and who put it on the website. I always go to the place where I can find the most alum at Thanksgiving time, and that's the Wareham Bourne game, and I stand there and I hand out invitations to everyone I see. I put an invitation in all of the teachers' mailboxes, and because they're still in communication with a lot of our graduates, and ask them, if you're speaking to one of our graduates, please encourage them to come to our college homecoming. And the kids love it, and the college grads that come back, some of them I have come back year after year. We like to get a good perspective of college freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, although most of the kids that come are college freshmen. We're always looking to have more. We've had as few as 7 and as many as 30 show up. A lot depends on their winter break, and this year, the weather. We had to reschedule because we had no school on the day that we were first going to have it, and that hurt our numbers a little bit this year. But we still had a really great program.
Thank you, and that was a very informative presentation.
Thank you.
Yep.
I agree. And I also want to applaud the work, Pam, that you're doing with the college scholarships. There's no question that $250,000 just doesn't happen by accident. And the fact that it happens year after year after year is a real credit, so thank you. The tracking of our students, are the resources to do that any better now than they were 3 or 4 years ago, so that we can say 5 years after they left our care, how are they doing? Are we able to do that yet?
The state is actually starting to do some of that and give us back some statistics on retention rates for our students. They're able to determine now, because of the statistics that they keep, and we're just starting. We just saw that when we were working with Katie Gray a couple of months ago. She showed us the reports. So, but like everything else, someone was saying earlier, you send out questionnaires, 4,000 questionnaires, and you get back 40. It's kind of the same thing. When we have sent out follow-up studies to our graduates, we've gotten back 4 or 5. It doesn't make it statistically significant for any kinds of results if you're only getting back that few responses. So we're hoping that the state is going to provide us with a better tracking and more information every year.
So we should be patient, okay.
We're trying to be, yeah.
Second question. Top colleges over the last couple of years have been indicted, so to speak, for failure to admit a diverse student population, especially as it pertains to low income. Some of them in their comments have acknowledged that they're deficient in recruiting low-income students. But they also push back and say low-income students are not necessarily aspiring because they think they're not capable of affording some of the top colleges. Now, I will grant you that a place like UMass Dartmouth, you can get an excellent education. But do we encourage students to aspire to the top colleges, so that the top colleges, and there are so many in Massachusetts, of course, so that the top colleges can make it affordable once they get in, because I'm sure some of them want to do that for students that are academically doing really well, but don't have the financial means to afford these absurdly high annual costs. So that's a long question, but the bottom line is, I'm asking you, I want our kids to aspire, and I'm asking whether you think we're doing a good job of getting them to aspire.
I think we are. We have students who, this year, I have a Harvard app who's waiting for
Yes,
her
I do.
April 1st reply. We have students that are applying to some of the top schools, I'm going to tell you, in New England. Their Wareham students have a tendency to stay close to home, a pretty close-knit community. They don't travel very far away from home. We have great colleges in New England, so they don't necessarily have to travel that far, but
Exactly.
you won't find our kids applying to Stanford or Berkeley. They're pretty much staying in New England. We have had kids, and we continue to have kids accepted at some of the most prestigious and competitive schools, but when they get their financial aid awards, they cannot afford to go there because they are the middle-income kids, and they get cut out in the financial aid process. Their parents make too much money, but they don't make enough money. So, like my 3 students all went to Massachusetts state colleges or universities. When you have 2 working parents, you essentially get close to zero in financial aid. So at a $50,000 a year school, you might get $20,000 based on your incomes, your combined incomes, so you have to pay $30,000. Well, if your student gets the John and Abigail Adams scholarship, they get a little financial aid, they get some local scholarships, they could end up going to UMass Amherst for $8,000 or $9,000 a year, and having a lot less student loans. So our families are really looking at that. They don't want to be in debt forever. And we are hoping that colleges are continuing to be need blind, but that doesn't always happen.
Thank you for being here.
So I just wanted to say that although I've had 3 guidance counselors in the past 3 years, I've had nothing but good experiences with each of them, which I attribute to the hard work that they have all put in to give quality service to everyone at Wareham High School, and I look forward to the college application process with whoever my guidance counselor is next year.
I do have to explain that we do follow students through for 4 years, but poor Nicole had Mr. Pimentel, and then he retired, and Miss Rossi, and then she was transferred to the middle school, and now Mr. Canberra. So it's only that end part of the alphabet who has had a number of guidance counselors.
But I know a lot of the students from the middle school because I was at the middle school, so that gives me a little bit of an advantage, so, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, counselors. I know you all from working in the system for as long as I did, and I know Lisa because she got her tutelage down at my school down in Sandwich. So there's a couple of things I'd like to point out that I think the folks need to know. And one of the things is the pressure that you folks face from a couple of fronts. But the most important one, I think, and it was the one that I had nightmares about when I was a principal, was making an honest mistake on graduation requirements. That is an incredible amount of pressure because, you know, you don't want to be in a place that have to tell a kid, well, you can't graduate because you didn't meet your requirements. You know, to be quite honest with you, I've known cases in Massachusetts where not only was the system sued, but the counselor was discharged. So that's an incredible amount of pressure that you guys are on when you have to review those applications and review those graduation requirements that we change on you all the time. And I think that a lot of people don't appreciate the pressure that you are on. And then the other side of that is, you know, what's wrong with you if my kid can't get into college? You know what I'm saying? So there is some pressure to that. But I was one of the ones that wanted to do the follow-up studies, and I think that we can still move forward on that, and I hope you don't give it up. And a couple of the problems that you encountered, I think, might be able to be rectified if you do a random sample. Don't send out 10,000 questionnaires. Send out a random sample of the questionnaires, and make sure that the instrument is easy to deal with. Sometimes 3 or 4 well-placed questions is all you really need. If you just determine what you want to find out. So I would look at the instrument, and I would look at using some kind of a random sample as opposed to a mass mailing, and it'll be a lot cheaper too. And you get that information. In terms of the scholarships, we all know how generous Wareham is, and that's another. I have to point this out: is Wareham is the most generous community. We don't have a whole lot of money, but I'll tell you, we freely share with what we got. And it is the most generous community in so many ways. And as Mr. Sweat said, $250,000, and that's a considerable amount of money. And I have to put the little plug for Wareham Public Schools that if you're thinking about, or if you're on the fence about sending your kids somewhere else, well, the chance of your kid getting a scholarship increases by 2-fold if they stay in Wareham. So I think that's another reason. I think that we have sent kids to prestigious schools, and I think, Pam, you hit the nail on the head. It's a matter of economics. We've sent kids to Notre Dame, we've sent kids to the University of Michigan, we've sent kids to, we heard one tonight going to Catholic University, which is a very good school. So, but I do think, I think that when it comes to dollars and cents, that dollars and cents wins out, and nothing shy about University of Massachusetts, because they do provide a wonderful opportunity and a good education. So, and the other thing that I notice is there is sometimes it's a criticism of Wareham that we're sending a lot of kids to the community schools, community colleges. Well, you know what? For a lot of my kids, that's a great way to start. It's affordable. They get the experience, and they can transfer those credits in later on into a 4-year school. A lot of kids that I've known have gone the community college route, including my wife, and have really succeeded and done very, very well in transferring those credits into a 4-year school. So, yes, we do have a lot of kids going to community school, but I don't think it's a matter of their ability. It's a matter of, being realistic about the cost of going to college and the college experience itself. So I personally am very, very supportive of the community college system. I think it does an awful lot of good for an awful lot of kids. Keep up the good work, but keep working on that survey, because I think we really need to know if they're not succeeding in college, why are they not succeeding? Is it academics? Is it financial? We need to know that. So that's important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. I'm glad that you were here. I mean, you get on the school committee and people think you know everything about what goes on in the schools, and when you have groups like these come up in the departments to discuss what they do, it's helpful for me, because I don't know what you do for as far as the guidance goes at the high school. I don't have a child at the high school, and when I was in high school, I had no interest in college, but I did go. I did graduate from Bentley College. Curious to pick up on what Mr. Sweat was discussing, where you were saying a lot of the middle class families, they make too much but not enough. What grade is the best grade for parents to get actively involved in planning their financing of their high school student?
Well, MIFA would probably say when they're born, you should start.
Absolutely.
But like, for example, you said like if you have two parents, working, I mean, when is it strategic to maybe change that? Like is that sort of it?
I know you're not talking about getting a divorce or being a single parent household.
No, but you know what I mean. Like so if it makes sense for one parent not to work,
Oh.
No?
I don't know. I wouldn't think so. I mean, they're looking at your previous year's employment, your next year's projected employment. How long is that person not going to work for?
I just thought maybe there was a formula for that sort of thing.
I can tell you from experience that if your combined income is around $120,000, two people, like two working educators, you are going to have what's called an EFC of about $22,000. They're going to expect you to come up with $22,000 a year.
Okay. So
I don't
even that's
know
helpful.
if a lot of people have been able to save $22,000 a year to be able to afford. So at a Massachusetts State College or university, that's about the cost.
Yeah.
But at the private institutions now, it's $50,000, $60,000 a year. So you're still expected to pay that $22,000 no matter which institution you attend.
And I don't know if it's appropriate to ask you folks this or not, or if you'd know, but have you noticed a difference in quality between, conventional brick, physical schools versus the online schools, like the Phoenix universities and such? Is that worthwhile or no?
Well, our students really haven't been looking at online institutions. They want to go away to school. They want to experience the dorm life and right.
I didn't know if that was something you encouraged or discouraged or.
I don't think we've had a lot of experience with that, because most kids want a traditional type of atmosphere, so we haven't had a lot of kids, I know, in
Looking
in
at
my
University of Phoenix? No.
Yes, I'm glad you're saying that.
haven't.
And about tracking the students, I might be getting mixed up. Is that Edwin that does that? Right?
Oh, through DESE?
So we're using College Clearinghouse, but you're right, Edwin will have that capability, does have that capability. But National College Clearinghouse has had that capability for years. And it's just tracking persistence rates, graduation rates, not why someone dropped out or why someone didn't. Like, I know it seems like it's kind of two different surveys that we're talking about. Persistence rates, graduation rates, versus the students that dropped out, why did they drop out? So I think we're talking about two different surveys, and I think we're kind of combining them into one conversation.
But we don't have enough data to have a worthwhile presentation at this point on where the kids end up and how long they've been and how successful.
I have information on graduation rates and persistent rates, but what we're trying to do is dig a little deeper, and like Dr. Sylvia said, try and figure out if kids graduated, what helped them with that experience at Wareham High School to help them graduate. And if they didn't, was it because of lack of skill, or was it a financial piece, or was it something with the family that required them to withdraw from school? So we're trying, and we've been trying on that piece, but we do have data on graduation rates and so on and so forth with that. But to me, let's dig deeper. Let's find out why kids are successful, because we do have a large percentage of kids that graduate within 5 years. But I'm a little bit more interested in trying to figure out, why don't kids graduate? Is there something that we can do differently at the high school? If it's a financial piece, which we know a large percentage of the students that don't graduate, it's a financial piece, so we really can't control that. But what can we change at the high school that we can control? Are there courses? We're offering a new course this year, the college experience course. We think that's going to help out. Is that the big answer note for all these students that maybe can't make it, that percentage? No, it's not going to solve all of our problems, but it's a step in the right direction. And so we're trying to dig deeper on that.
Okay, thanks.
And we do know where our students go. We know what percentage attend 2-year, 4-year. We track them, but you have to understand, too, for years, our job was to get them in. Our job was not to keep them there. And that focus has changed. Our job is now to get them in and to do what we can from our part to try to provide them with the skills to be able to keep them there. So that's a relatively new concept.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for being here tonight. I just have a couple questions. I know it's getting late, but I was very excited to have this presentation here tonight. The couple questions that I have to do with the timing of introducing college into the conversation. Has there or are there current efforts going on to actually start the conversation a little bit earlier? When it comes to thinking about college, even in the middle school?
Yeah, we have done that in the past, absolutely. I've talked to students about many of those kinds of issues. it's hard to get them interested at that level. You know, I ask questions like, what do you want to do when you get out of high school? And a lot of them don't even have a clue. Even in high school, they don't have a clue yet, you know. But we meet with all the freshmen once they get here in the beginning of the year, and we start talking to them about college right away. As Pam explained, the cost requirements, at the end of it, we ask, like, what are your plans after high school? And so we can have that discussion with them at that time.
Right. Because I think, go ahead.
And as we mentioned as part of this presentation, Allison Rossi, who was a high school guidance counselor, is now the middle school guidance counselor. So not only do we have great articulation there, but she's also taken some things that we did at the high school in previous years down to the middle school. And even before she was here, I know they've taken college field trips, and I know was part of the administration and guidance. So they're actually starting the conversations here, and we're kind of picking up as they come in, you know, kind of running into this. So there's some good conversations occurring at the middle school, and certainly these three pick it up when they enter Wareham High School.
Great, because yep, go ahead.
The middle school's having College Day in May.
Great. I think that my most important piece around all of this is that the students that really have never had that conversation in their home, even had a thought in their mind that that's something's available to them. And once you get into high school, yes, they don't know what they want to do with their life, but they already have a path and a way that they've chosen. And so being able to have the opportunities that are available to you conversation as early as possible, I think is so important. And that's what I experienced, that it started very, very early on, that there are all kinds of doors that are open to you, but this is one of them. And no matter the effort that you put in is going to determine where you actually go when that time is right to make those decisions. And even the question that was asked about when do you start saving for college, when you start talking about college, you start as early as possible. So anything that we can do across the district to start that college planning mentality a lot earlier, it gives students all the information they need to make informed decisions. So I'm sure a lot of that is going on, but I just wanted to make sure that that was said out loud, that we have to start the opportunity discussion, college opportunity discussion with them a lot earlier. So thank you. Is there, are there resources, I'm sorry I don't know this question, but especially at the high school, are there resources like a college planning guide available online? Because I saw, so the documents that you had here today, about the timeline and the certain things, there's a momentum going on where getting, that it's flashier, and it's, in the world of online, they're going on there and they're reading probably 4 words on a screen at one point. So, and I'm not saying that we have to dumb down the college planning and what you need to do, but seeing if there's any way that we could maybe boost up the timeline so that it has like a calendar piece, so like a step-by-step, and there's examples out of there, because again, I have a kid in 2nd grade, but we do talk about it, so I've done there's some, and so anything that I can help provide and provide examples, but there's some great online resources, so at any point, parents can use us as a resource to start thinking about financial and, so again, just another way to be able to start that conversation a lot earlier. So I didn't know if today there's anything available online around college planning and what to prep for, because you guys do, a great job in all the things that you're going through, but how can we take your knowledge, put it online so people can learn a lot earlier?
I was just saying to Pam, I know we have a new website, and we have talked about the different departments having their own page on this site, so I know that's something that you'll be seeing from us in the future as well.
Okay.
Not just for guidance, but for other departments as well. But certainly it makes sense that that's where this would be applied.
Right, just worksheets and things like that, so then kids can get started a lot earlier and work at their own pace when it comes to that. The last thing that I'll ask is just around college planning for athletes. Is there a different conversation that you have with college athletes about what opportunities are available to them? Yes, of course, it always should be about academic, but from the athletic side, being able to provide them access to creating, in this world, you as an athlete, you have to sell yourself, in some respects to get into that Division II or Division III college even when it comes to basketball or football. Are we providing any support to athletes on how that piece of them can help them get into a better school?
Well, I'm the NCAA liaison for our school, so I'm in charge of updating the clearinghouse information. I also had 3 daughters who were all recruited athletically. I hate to say this from Old Rochester, we happen to live in Marion, but so I'm really familiar with the recruiting process. I have to tell you that we don't have a lot of students who go on to a Division I or II school. Most of our students are playing Division III athletics. It's a rare case where we have 1 or 2 athletes, and I'm there to help them out with any information that they need or support. I've even spoken with students that haven't been my part of the alphabet, only because I've been through the process with children of my own. So, and I'm always willing to help anyone who has
Right. And that there's still probably
questions.
scholarships available for Division III or there are
no. Athletic scholarships
Just
are
1 and
only
2?
for 1 and 2.
Okay.
And it's not unique to Wareham. I attend monthly meetings with the South Coast Conference, and as Pam said, it's maybe every 2 or 3 years you have a Division I or II athlete that's receiving a scholarship. But I do also want to say, besides the knowledgeable guidance counselors, our coaches are very knowledgeable in regards to scholarships, and they do have a lot of contacts as well. So our student athletes are certainly highlighted with all the area colleges, and even sometimes, as was mentioned before, students are looking to travel outside of the Northeast to compete and to attend college.
Okay. Well, and if you didn't know, if you haven't met Jamie, our video person extraordinaire, it's a great resource to be able to do a montage of everything that they have done if we do get that athlete. So I have many others, but it's late, and I know you guys have been here for a long time, so I'll follow up another time and hopefully to meet you offline. So thank you again for being here tonight. Is there any last comments?
Thank you for your patience. I know it's late.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting
the
us.
opportunity.
Do you have?
Yeah, not related to that, but we probably need a motion to go past 10.
Yes. I'll take a motion to go past the hour 10 to finish the agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's vote to declare property surplus.
Let the record show that Chairman Bugan forced us to go beyond 10 o'clock.
Yeah, you didn't call for a vote.
Point taken.
Call second.
I
I
did.
vote. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go fast.
Sorry, first time ever, Mr. Sweat. How many times, can you state for the record how many times we had a vote to go past the hour 10 with Mr. Sweat as chair?
7.
Too many.
Thank you. Okay.
many.
Yep.
Michelle.
Go ahead. No, it's the superintendent has the floor now.
In order to return the Everett Educational Center building back to the town, the school committee needs to vote to declare the property surplus to its requirements. We will then send a written statement to the Board of Selectmen and Town Clerk that it has been deemed surplus.
I'll take a motion to vote to declare property surplus at the Everett Educational Center.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Acceptance of gifts.
I would ask the committee to accept $100 for the Convention Data Service Incorporation of Bourne to the WHS Music Boosters.
I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank you very much. Convention Data Services.
$250 from Eastern Bank Charitable Foundation to the WHS for band uniforms.
I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Eastern Bank.
Amount to telescope system from Edward Holland of Wareham to the high school for the astronomy class.
I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Holler.
$1,000 from Cape Cod 5-cent Bank to the Wareham High School for the Credit to Life fair to be spent on food, beverages, and/or supplies.
I just wanted to ask Mr. Palladino, but he's no longer here, is that because Cape Cod 5 was just in our auditorium and they had a problem with the, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
$1,000 from the Cape Cod 5 to the high school to be used toward the new sound system in the gymnasium.
That's the one I was talking about. All those in, or I'll take a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank you very much.
Christmas items valued at $1,200 from Walmart in East Wareham to the Wareham Public Schools.
I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Thank you very much, Walmart. Great. The superintendent's report.
I would ask the committee to vote for the reconfiguration plan as follows. Deacon's would house kindergarten, first, second. Minot would house pre-K, 3, 4. And this would be effective for the school year 14-15.
I move the reconfiguration.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, is there any discussion?
Good.
No. But, yeah, I agree. All those in favor?
Aye.
500.
I would also add that we're exploring a daycare, and we will be unveiling our daycare. I sent you some information in our packet. This would be before school and after school in help with the parents in our community. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. I definitely do not want that skipped over, that the school is exploring our own before and after school program to help in a very inexpensive way, but also so it will cover our costs to be able to help parents be able to drop their kids off before and also after school care. We understand that parents are working. There are not a lot of choices. Again, I'm a parent. I understand there's not a lot of choices here when it comes to before and after school care. The superintendent, the administration is doing a phenomenal job of looking at ways to be able to help parents in a cost-effective way provide daycare before and after school. So I just want to commend everyone that's working on that because I think that it's going to be hugely, hugely beneficial to the parents here once they understand it more. Thank you. Are there any school committee reports? When is the next policy review?
Well, we don't have one yet. We have some things that Michael and Kim are working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other business?
I'd like to offer a piece.
Yes.
I apologize for not being at the last meeting, and I know there was some discussion about it, and I know there was some public participation about it, but I really think that there has to be a conversation between the town administrator and the chief of police about reinstating Officer Baptiste as our resource officer, and I'd like to see it as an agenda item at some point in time as to how these negotiations are going.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else?
Just, I don't know if the superintendent wants to give an update on the middle school principal search.
Yes, I would be happy to. Our committee interviewed potential candidates. They have moved a person forward. We now are inviting the person to meet with various people at the middle school and have conversation with our high school principal. And then we will be checking for resources and possibly making a recommendation to the committee.
And if there was anything else discussed at the superintendent's advisory meeting, except in addition to school uniforms, because I wasn't there because I was at the principal meeting. So.
No, you know what? The uniforms took just about the whole time.
Really? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Yeah.
Kenny was first.
Oh, go ahead, Kenny.
Just to follow up, Dr. Sylvia wasn't at the last meeting, but in the minutes I asked that the superintendent make it a priority to have discussions with Acting Chief Walsh and keep us updated on any discussions on the resource officer position. I appreciate the thinking outside the box of security officer, but a security officer to me is just like, and no disrespect to the people doing the job, is like having someone that's a security officer in the mall. They really can't do anything without the police there anyways. Do we want a security officer or a resource officer? And I think that's the key, is a resource officer puts a stop to a lot of things before they get outside the walls of the high school, middle school, co-op, West Academy. And since I've been on the committee, we have or had the best resource officer in all my years. So I hope there's discussion on how to make this thing work. And that might go well into the next upcoming school committee. But I would ask that we have some type of update at the March 27th or whatever that date meeting is.
We'll put it on the agenda.
Thank you.
Just one quick thing. I know that we still have to do a lot of discussing on the standard of dress relative to Wareham Public Schools, and I saw some passion out there, but this is just my opinion, and I just think it's, if we're going to be talking about it in the future, that maybe this would be a good time to mention it. You know, maybe we ought to stop referring to it as school uniforms, because when I think of school uniforms, I think of my kids going to St. Mary's Parochial School in their jumpers. And I don't think that that's what we're talking about. I think if we refer to it as a standard of dress, I think it will be a lot more palatable to a lot more people. That's just my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? I'll take a motion to approve. I mean,
I approve. I approve
adjourning.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Jeff, tell us she broke your